getting close down the end as Tobias Harris misses a short mid-ranger and Joel Embiid gets called for a bad foul. And that's it's a shame because as soon as we turn this on, a series of events happen that probably means this game is not going to be close in the end.
That's the way it happens sometimes.
Yeah, but this game has been a fascinating one. Uh, Joel Embiid has dominated at times, also had a ton of turnovers. It was really the turnover game in the first half that kept Philly out of it. At one point, they had awesome 62% true shooting, and they had basically like worst in the league level of offensive rating because they could not take care of the ball. And now this over the backbreaker from Embiid gives Walker a chance to hit 2 free throws. Also very concerning, though, for the Celtics is the status of Gordon Hayward. Just announced that he will not return.
Yeah, and it's being reported as a right ankle sprain. Saw kind of a grainy video of it. Need to see it more to feel. But the people who were there said it didn't look good, and I mean that could potentially be significant depending on how long it lasts. I mean, it could be long enough that it affects the next round should Boston get there. But yeah, that'll put more strain on their depth to be sure.
Well, as we still have a 6-point game here with a minute 10 left, Alec Burks closing things out rather than Shake Milton for the Sixers. They try to get Burks going. Nothing really happening on this possession. Good switch behind the play by the Celtics to get Tice onto Embiid. The 3 from Richard. Got to have this, and they got it.
Yeah, so now it's down to a one possession game with a minute to go, though Boston will get more possessions than the Sixers moving forward.
Walker up top's going to use the screen from Tatum to involve Tybal. Now they want to get Tatum the ball against Richardson. Size advantage for Tatum. And the ISO rips through to his right. Fouled. And now just Josh Richardson very surprised at that turn of events that he picked up the foul. But after he hit that huge 3 at the other end, as Smart helped off of him, just couldn't contain Tatum well enough. Was too worried about the size advantage. Brings the arms down, and Tatum has a chance to put Philly into great difficulty here with 2 free throws.
And Tatum, he had 28 points on the game, 10 of 21 from the field, 2 of 5 from 3, and I guess now with that one, 7 of 8 from the line, really scoring from every area. 2 of 5 in the restricted area, 2 of 4 from the floater, 4 of 7 from mid-range.
Couple of free throws for Tatum. Philly has to get the 2 for 1 here if they're to have any shot whatsoever. Burks switched onto nicely by Brown. They tried to run a play for Harris to get a 3. Smart just completely took it away. Here's Burks on the drive, and he's going to get fouled. So they do get the 2 for 1 barely. Burks must make both free throws, then they have to get a stop and a 3-pointer coming back the other way.
Yeah, and you could run into a circumstance with this tight a differential that, I mean, Philly will call a timeout theoretically if they get the rebound to advance the ball. But Boston could also try to consider fouling. You might run into the Carlisle situation, but they don't have James Harden on their team, so it might be a little bit easier.
Burks does the first part, making the first free throw. What do you think of this Philly lineup that's out here closing out this one?
I think that it has more defensive potential. Like they were running into that problem of not having somebody to defend Kemba and Tatum. I think they have better personnel for that. But, offensively, it puts a lot on Embiid.
Oh, killer miss. And then Tatum took away the tip from Embiid. That could have been a big problem for Boston if he could have made that. Now Embiid makes Walker slip. They've got Tatum, and they're going to get the timeout as they get into the front court here. 2 timeouts left, so plenty of time here. And Boston will have a chance to really ice this one by just getting the ball in bounds. A 4-point advantage. That second missed free throw from Burks, a killer. Of course, talking about the Philly closing lineup, well, conspicuous by his absence is one Al Horford.
Yeah, Horford had a really rough early stretch of this game, but then also got into it in that I think it was the end of the third quarter when Boston's offense stagnated and Philly really came back without Embiid on the floor. So yeah, I do kind of get it because the Embiid Horford minutes were worse than the Horford only minutes. So I guess that's what Brett Brown's going with.
Yeah, as they fell down early, made just a thought that they needed some more ball handling on the floor, but it's Thibault who is replacing Horford. Burks is in a pretty similar role to what Milton was. And so, yeah, just getting some more defensive versatility. We saw them switch that pick and roll involving Tatum, where he got the 2 free throws that probably are going to end up having put this game away. And Philly did actually lead it here at the start of the fourth, but Boston has extended out now to a 105-101 lead, and you would imagine that Philly is going to be forced to foul here, as we saw that fantastic rebound by Tatum, the long arms of Jason Tatum, taking it away from Joel Embiid, who looked sure to put in that rebound. They sprint Kemba Walker into the backcourt, double teaming him, time running down, and Thibault has to commit it.
And for those of you who are newer to this, you can ask questions on really whatever platform you're on. And if you are ahead of, if we are ahead of you, the best thing that you can do is use the YouTube link, because YouTube has a functioning pause button. If you are ahead of us, and we're a little bit behind where we usually are, but we hope that might work for streamers, in that case, then if you're ahead of us, then hopefully you can slow down or pause whatever you're watching. That would be the way. It's a little bit harder with this than it was for the league pass games we did, but them's the breaks.
Walker hitting the first free throw, and this is all but over. Presumably Horford is coming in just to get the rebound, and a bitter pill it must be for Al Horford, but in some ways he was the author of his own demise. He wanted to play power forward. Even in Boston, when they were so successful with him at center, he really chafed at that. He wanted to play power forward. He thinks he has the skill level to play power forward and the quickness and the shooting, and he just hasn't. Like he is not, and even in a backup center role, he hasn't been the same player. But playing next to Embiid, he wanted something that was going to give him an easier physical load. But the problem is that he's just isn't a power forward anymore in today's game, and so playing him with Embiid just has not worked out. Let's should we hit some questions here? Do we have any yet?
I'm looking. Let's see. Would you take Philly over the Celtics if no Hayward in the next game? It definitely makes it closer, especially because Boston is going to have to push some other people into their roles. Tentatively, I think I'd still go with Boston, but I'm gonna have to think about that. We'll probably talk about that on the pod later tonight.
Yeah, I think I probably would also. I mean, they do have Smart, but that is going to force Boston into some players that they don't necessarily want to play. Now, banking this win, of course, is huge for their chances. And I am concerned about Hayward because the fact that he was ruled out initially, a lot of times when you sprain the ankle, you can come back in that game and then it'll swell up on you over the next couple of days. You might not be able to play in the next game. So the fact that he was ruled out, yeah, the game was like kind of under control for the Celtics, but enough in the balance that you would have liked to have him come back if he was at all capable of it. And he was down for a long time. It looked like he was really struggling to move. So let's see what Brett Brown has got here. Got these guys lined up in a stack formation. You got to get a three-pointer here, obviously, down 6. Richardson comes out. Embiid with a very deep 3 over Tice. Misses that, and that's going to do it, although the academic Jim Boylan, Taylor Jenkins foul is made. I guess that's probably not quite bad enough. A 2-possession game. If it's a 3-possession game, then you're being ridiculous.
Three possessions different. Also, it's the playoffs, so I think you get a little bit more latitude there.
Jim Boylan treats every game like a playoff game.
That is very true.
I highly recommend that y'all read Darnell Mayberry's piece today on The Athletic, which was a very solid post-mortem of the Boylan era.
So let's talk a little bit. We don't know with how long of a transition we're going to have now that this one is functionally over. Let's talk a little bit about the game that we're focusing on in terms of this NBA cast, Mavericks-Clippers. We could start this with the news that Rick Carlisle is changing his starting lineup. Maxi Kleber is going to be in instead of Seth Curry. That gives them more size, and also Curry hasn't looked quite right physically since he's come back. So I think it's a completely logical move, even though it does make it changes the bench rotations to an extent as well.
Yeah, it does. I want to see what they do at backup center. They're going to try and get some Boban minutes. He's really the only other big available. Remember, of course, Powell has the torn Achilles, and Willie Cauley-Stein did not come with them to the bubble. He opted out. So I think that it'll be fascinating to see that. If they go with Boban, Montrezl Harrell will certainly have an advantage in on offense in that matchup. I mean, having Boban try to guard that Lou Williams, Montrezl Harrell pick and roll, it could be a problem. Now, what it would seem like the reason they're going with Kleba is get more size on Kawhi. Probably Kawhi. I would guess that Kleba will probably guard Kawhi. And he at least, Kawhi can't just like totally bully him. Kleba is actually one of the best defensively at the kind of combo big position. So we're seeing Romeo Langford out there.
Well, that's good to see. It's good to see him because of that reporting that he had a ligament issue. I believe that was with his thumb. So wasn't sure if he was going to be on the floor at all.
Yeah, they're taking Walker off the floor. Walker only played about 35, 36 minutes. As predicted, Brad Stevens, although there was no minutes limit, he was not set as there's a steal by Smart. Jaylen Brown will milk the clock here to end a 109-101 Boston victory. Hopefully no gamblers had the spread there. I don't even know. Do you have any idea what the line was on this game?
It was at 6, I believe.
Okay, well, good. That was there's some gamblers sweating it out there. But maybe not if you had bookies.com. We'll tell you more about them, of course. Good to be back with bookies.com here on the cast. So 109-101 will await the status of Gordon Hayward. This one kind of played out about as expected, I would say, though, this Philly-Boston game.
I would say so overall. I mean, I thought that both Tatum and Brown were excellent, and so they were better than I anticipated. There were some lulls, but generally I thought those guys did well. But yeah, in the overall kind of concept of it, I would agree with that. Even though it didn't follow one of the arcs was that the Sixers were actually, I think per minute, they had a better net rating when Embiid was off the floor than when he was on. But I think that's more a small thing than a big thing.
So yeah, let's get back to talking about this matchup here. If we have any questions, we could certainly take those as well. Let me bring that up. In fact, we'll go with a little more informal approach here than we did on those NBA League Pass games. But thanks to all of you who support us in that. The feedback was really outstanding. We may not be able to do it anymore because there isn't really a domestic League Pass option for the playoffs, but we are hopeful that they'll give us a chance to come back next year and do it. And certainly all of your great commentary on Twitter was instrumental in that.
Oh, we could do this question from our McIntyre. If Boston did end up playing Milwaukee, could you see them starting Ojale or one of the Williams to match up with Giannis? I don't think you'd start that way, but I think it would definitely be something they would lean on potentially more often. But I like the idea more of, sending doubles, forcing him to pass, something like that, because I don't think that like Robert Williams or any of those guys can defend Giannis one-on-one. Maybe, I mean, Ojale's the brick shithouse, so maybe, but I don't think so.
Yeah. A note that we're behind usual. Yeah, I acknowledge that Danny and I have to synchronize our TVs because we are doing this remotely and social distance, of course. So if we are too far behind, we can try and fix that. Let us know what you think. I mean, I know there's some streamers, particularly internationally, who want us to be further behind anyway. But if it's really too annoying, let us know.
It takes a lot to do it, so you can obviously express it, but and it'll be it's an undertaking.
Yeah, no, it's definitely like some like Ocean's 11 type shit for us to really like sync up with that. But yeah, let us know. I mean, if we're just like 5 minutes behind or something, I don't think we're that bad. So let's see here. Any other questions?
Oh yeah, this one. I think this is a good point from Steve Run that Horford may be the only player on the Sixers who can throw an entry pass. That was something that I was thinking about at one point during the seeding games after Simmons got hurt was just that they had so few good passers, and you could extend it to they don't have that many capable ball handlers either. And that's a part of why I was skeptical of the Sixers in this series. I mean, they got through that at points in this game, but I think it is a real problem.
Yeah, and they did curb the turnovers in the second half. They had 13 turnovers in the first half and only 5 in the second half, so that really helped them. But another big problem for them, you look at these field goal percentages, right? Like, 32% from three, not bad. 42% overall. Yeah, they got to the line a little bit, that there was some fouling late. But the possession game, not only the Sixers turnovers, 16 offensive rebounds for the Celtics, which you don't think of them as an offensive rebounding team, but they're actually one of the best offensive rebounding teams. And then they only had 7 turnovers. And so without Ben Simmons, you've got Thibault, you've got Richardson. They're pretty good, but Thibault's not going to play the whole time. But what we've seen at times is the Sixers, with that conservative drop-back scheme with Joel Embiid, have not forced very many turnovers.
Yeah.
And so if that's going to be a problem, if they're not only are they going to turn the ball over a lot because they're the Sixers, but to also then not force any turnovers of their own, that's going to put them at a massive disadvantage in this series.
Well, especially when typically I would expect they will have the 3-point shooting disadvantage. So then they really have to make it up on twos and free throws, which they didn't in this one. So I think this is an interesting series for a lot of different reasons. We talked about this a little bit on the podcast on Sunday night, but part of it is the Clippers have to kind of get back into it because they've had all of these players that have been unavailable. I mean, Montrezl Harrell is going to be on a minutes limit in this one. He is available, but Lou Williams left the bubble. They dealt with a lot going through this and injuries as well. Landry Shamet and Patrick Beverley should play in this one. And that is a real challenge. That is a challenge for the Clippers in this game in this series because they're facing a capable opponent. However, Dallas, one of the reasons I'm more bullish on the Clippers in the series is that they don't really have a lot of players outside of Luka to make limited players pay. And so that's something we'll need to watch in this is does having Lou Williams on the floor cause any problems for Doc Rivers?
Yeah, like we've been talking about, weaknesses versus strengths. If the regular season is about your strength, the postseason is about your weaknesses. And I think the Clippers just have more players with fewer weaknesses. Dallas has a lot of one-way guys, or Porzingis could be a little bit slow. We'll see what happens with Luka. I mean, this is a tough matchup for Luka because he's going to have to probably guard a real player at times here, which they don't want him to do, particularly because he has to carry such a load offensively for this team. Who's your pick for the best entry passer? Rajon Rondo is up there for me. LeBron James would be up there for me as well. Particularly those entry passes he throws from like beyond half court to Anthony Davis are pretty ridiculous.
Chris Paul's a good one. He has some passing. Actually, incidentally, he doesn't get to do it that often, but Jokic has had some amazing ones. He threw that one to Porter a couple days ago.
Yeah, I mean, some of those bigs who can get like the quick high-low action, they have a nice passing angle there. Rondo would probably be my pick off the top of my head, though.
Yeah, I think that's a fair call.
So, I mean, that year that he played, the year he played with DeMarcus in Sacramento, and then when he was playing with AD in New Orleans. And, Rondo's not my favorite player, but that is one thing that he is outstanding at. Yes, they're definitely taking their sweet time getting ready here. So we did some more questions. Why not? Alex J 3152. Who do you think will make or break the Clips Mavs series?
I think Kawhi's gonna break it. Does that count? But like the definitive player, yeah, that is an interesting question. I don't. I don't have a good answer. Do you have one?
Well,
it's like I guess it's who going insane would give the Mavs a chance. Is that kind of the way it would be?
Yeah, I mean Porzingis is one, and I really want to see if he can play better defensively. Like he has struggled with that as we're about to get to tip off here of this one. Trying to just get my TVs synced up here. It'll be Porzingis against Zubac. And Zubac, let's watch him very carefully. Oh, as they throw it away immediately, Beverly, who just returned for that calf injury, then he loses it. So no harm. But getting back to the starting lineup, they're going to go with Zubac on Kleba. It is, in fact, Marcus Morris on Porzingis. So they can switch the Doncic, Porzingis pick and roll. Yeah, a lot of switching going on here already. Here's Doncic on the drive. Down the lane, and no fouls called. It'll go to the Clippers.
Yeah, I didn't see a ton of contact there from the Clippers that would have caused it, honestly.
So it's Finney Smith against George. He's going to have his hands full going around screens on George, and it is Kleba on Leonard. They want to go to the ISO, the Kwaiso ball. He'll just shoot it and make it over Maxi Kleba.
And one of the challenges there with Kawhi is that you have to respect the drive as well. So Kleba has to kind of be trying to play both, and that it's really tough to do against somebody who's so comfortable getting a shot off. And there's the first reach.
Yeah, the rip through by Luka, picking up the foul on Kawhi Leonard. I'll be interested to see what Luka can do in an ISO. He got to the basket that time, the first one. Now here's George behind the back. Morris off the steal. Alley-oop. Zubac with the big slam. He beat Porzingis down floor.
And it'll be interesting to see if those Clippers bigs, if they play with more burst, because they have the numbers right now, because they can also go small, of course, with JaMychal Green or a couple other ways. And if Zubac consistently beats Porzingis down the floor, that's a big problem for Dallas. It's easier points.
Yeah, so the active hands of the Clippers brought to bear so far. Hardaway will inbound to Porzingis, being pressured up by Marcus Morris. They like to get into the body of Porzingis. Yeah, Clippers switching everything that's not involving Zubac. Porzingis with the deep post-up. His turn over George misses.
And he just can't move Paul George. I mean, just had to just tried to shoot over him.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine, though. That's a pretty short shot. I like that one. I like that he got pretty decent position. Here's George crossing up on Kleba. Fading to his right, drains the three. Porzingis, again, can't get out there on that pick and roll. We saw how much he struggled with that against Lillard. Doncic, he snakes it. No, he got it tipped away. That's 3 strips already for the Clippers, but they turn it right back over. Doncic going at Morris. Morris strips it again. That's 4 times already in the first 2 minutes the Clippers have gotten a deflection, 3 resulting in turnovers. Here's Leonard feeling it from outside, and the LA Clippers lead at 10-0. Message sent.
And I'm somewhat happy this is our version of the NBA cast, because that means we don't have to keep it going if it lasts forever. If this game continues as it was. But this has been, I think, for me, the story so far is the Clippers' defense. The hands, the way that they forced 4 listed turnovers, but also like 2 other loose balls that didn't become turnovers.
Yeah, and the Mavs they got to be tougher. They got to be stronger. I mean, to just turn the ball, like the Clippers, they are taking it to playoff intensity. They're not going to let you just get your little hand off. They didn't. Patrick Beverly contested literally the first pass of the game and stole it off the inbound or off the jump. Let's hit some questions here while we're still on the air.
Let's see. Why do the Sixers turn the ball over so much? They don't have that many good passers. They can force it, and I think also the structure of their offense. Sometimes it can be predictable. Sometimes it can lead to people being able to anticipate. And also Embiid is a turnover machine for a bunch of reasons, including when he puts the ball on the floor, he kind of barrels forward a lot.
They also don't have any dribblers.
Yes.
That could be an issue.
Let's see. Is this going to be a walkover? I don't think the whole series is going to be, but it isn't a surprise. I talked about this actually I think this was on the pod, about how I thought Toronto was going to massacre Brooklyn early, just because getting used to playoff intensity and everything, like, because Brooklyn's a lot of guys like that. I think we're seeing that again, like, especially because the Clippers, their ramp up speed is pretty insane when they actually, like, the give a shit index is high. Like, we saw that, and that was why Devin Booker's game winner was so impressive. But I think that it isn't a surprise that it's going to be like this, but eventually Dallas will adjust.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. I mean, the refereeing is going to be a big part of it too. The Mavs have really been very vocal that they don't think Luka Doncic gets enough calls. Now, he does get fouled plenty, but he also shoots it just about more than anyone in the NBA and handles it more than just about anyone in the NBA. So Beverly, Kawhi, like those guys are going to get handsy with it, Marcus Morris. But you can see what the Clippers' game plan is we are going to get into your shit. And particularly with, they went to this larger starting lineup, and that helps you defensively, but they could be a little short on the ball handling instead.
Would you start Alec Burks over Shake Milton? I'd consider it, but then you run into some floor spacing issues, and I just have another capable ball handler on the floor. I think I'd probably go that direction. I'm not the biggest Shake Milton believer. I think people already know that.
All right. Yeah, these long national commercials, got to get used to these here.
Yeah.
We're out of practice.
Is there any advantage Luka has against any Clippers defenders? Oh, he has advantages on a lot of them. I mean, Luka leaves defenders with better, quote unquote, better physical tools than him in the dust all the time because of his ability to change his pace, and his handle is very good. So he has a lot of advantages.
All right, let's see what Rick Carlisle's come up with. Dorian Finney-Smith will bring it up, so they're going to try and get Luka the ball off the ball. Porzingis in the pick and roll. They'll switch this, obviously. Porzingis trying to post up on George. And then, see, when they throw it to the second side with Cleveland, there's nowhere to go with it, really, as opposed to if that were Curry. Now there's a nice play, though. Kleba rolling into Ivica Zubac. The other thing that Kleba being out there, I think if they force Zubac to guard Porzingis, here's a drive by Beverly, and he's held from behind by Hardaway, who picks up his first. Then if they force Zubac to guard Porzingis, that might force Zubac off the floor. I don't know if they want to force Zubac off the floor necessarily, but if he's guarding Kleba, I think Kleba's not that devastating of a shooter. Here's Kawhi against Kleba. Gets him in the air. Good non-foul by Kleba, and the shot is short.
Yeah, Kleba just moved a little bit closer. That's a really nice play.
Now they got Zubac on Porzingis. Oh, Doncic missed him on the pick and pop. Goes down. Bad play by Doncic. And he's down behind the play, 5-on-4. George going at Porzingis and can't score over him, but Zubac can on the tip back. Nightmare start for Luka Doncic.
Yeah, and we never saw him get back on defense there, so we'll have to see how he's moving.
Here's Kleba with the three-pointer. That bricks. 2 Mavs behind the play again. Clips not a big transition team, but they're going to get a wide-open 3 here with George. Man, this is just an ass-kicking right now. 15-2. Now, Clippers don't know who they have. Finney-Smith setting up Hardaway from Porzingis, and they miss it. A couple of bad misses from 3 for the Mavs. They got to break out here a little bit. Beverly, pick and roll. Swings it to Morris. That's a big-time overhelp by Finney-Smith. Patrick Beverly on the pick and roll. You don't need to leave somebody open. Make him go finish at the rim against Kristaps Porzingis, who's 7'3". Now, of course, the Clippers apparently aren't going to miss a jump shot this whole game. That's hurting Dallas a little bit. Beverly switching on to Doncic. Doncic goes through him, has to go to the floater, and finally the Mavs with their second field goal. Yeah, Doncic looks to still be limping a bit after he went down on that drive earlier. George off the screen. Finney-Smith does well to get through. ISO for George. Now the pick comes from Zubac. George with the right wing 3 misses. Couple of missed jump shots can help Dallas a little bit, and then George is going to pick up a foul. Oh, see, there, you see the air punch by George? No technical. If his name is Grayson Allen, that's a technical.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Doncic still trying to work through some things here. Looks like he's got some tape there on his right calf soleus as well. Oh, they do give him the technical. Yeah, Porzingis. That's one of those letter of the law ones. And apparently if his name is Paul George, he gets the technical as well. Yeah, let's see. We'll watch Doncic go down here. Ooh, yeah, looks like he just fell right on his butt. And, is he having... Hard to see where he's having an issue there. On the Iverson cut, it's Doncic. Nope, foul on Maxi Kleber as George goes down. That's always a good trick if you're a veteran in particular. If you just got called for a what you think is a questionable foul, accentuate some contact right after that, and there's just kind of a little weights and measures in a referee's head sometimes, even if they don't want there to be. Here's George swinging it to Morris. Doncic with the late close. Morris missing. Nice rebound over Zubac by Finney-Smith. Hardaway, there looks like the plan is to force Hardaway to his right hand. He goes at Leonard, right at him, in fact, and scores.
Nice play.
So we're getting our first look at Lou Williams, and Doc Rivers is going to get a timeout. And, yeah, Doncic does not look happy right now. And that would be a real bummer if he's going to be struggling with injury for this series. It's already looking like the Clippers might be in control, but Dallas will be heard from in this series, as you said.
Yeah, I think we should take the opportunity to tell them about our friends at bookies.com. I went through and looked at Adam Thompson. He's one of their experts. His picks for the day today: Celtics over Sixers at a 6.5 spread, which they covered.
Oh, very, yeah. Thompson is on fire, dude.
Yeah, and then Clippers over Mavericks by 7. That's looking really good as of right now. And so, yeah, for bookies.com, it really is about information, whether that is expert picks or just finding out where the most favorable line for whatever you're interested in, where that is, and you can get the best bonuses in the business too.
Yeah, absolutely. You can click through to legal betting deals in your state. If applicable, get the best deals on that as well. So bookies.com is the place to go to support this program. So let's hit some questions here briefly.
Do you see Porzingis making a significant defensive impact in the series? Yes, at times, absolutely. I mean, he's a capable rim protector, but he has some pretty clear limitations in terms of moving his feet and getting out on the floor. And I think that's a big problem. And then the other one is that some of the Clippers' best offense doesn't require getting to the basket. So his biggest advantage isn't as relevant in this one as it will be in others.
Yeah, Porzingis, I think this is not a great matchup for him. Number one, because the Clippers have so many capable jump shooters and guys to get it into the mid-range. I also think that if he gets matched up against Montrezl Harrell late, that Harrell can really abuse him as a driver. Porzingis doesn't move his feet well. He's not that strong. So if Harrell gets the shoulder past him, I could see Porzingis picking up fouls. And it looks pretty immobile out there. Offensively, he looks a little more mobile, but defensively, it's going to be difficult. So if matched up against Lou Williams and Harrell, I think he could struggle. He's still a great rim protector when he's in position, but clearly has not had the same impact to me in this bubble as he had beforehand.
Does Patrick Patterson see any minutes in this series? Could that excise Zubac from the rotation if they want? Second part first, they could if they wanted to, but I don't think there's necessarily a reason. I think Zubac can have a part to play here, and I don't think the Mavericks can. They could play him off the floor very specifically, but I don't think it's that big of an imperative to do that. Think about that's something there. And for Patterson, I don't think he's going to play many competitive minutes because they just have so many other options. Now, you have JaMychal Green. Don't need to play Patrick Patterson too. They have so many damn wings now.
What's our next question here?
From 123, are you guys doing live coverage of the draft lottery? No, we won't do that. I mean, we have so many other kind of obligations, and I think that it's not something that we provide a lot of value. I don't, I especially because it's so quick. I don't think we're gonna do that. But it is a space for somebody else if they want.
All right, we're back here. Curry has come on, replacing Kleber. Doncic is out here, Danny, and Trey Burke is in. That is not encouraging. Leonard, trying to put Finney-Smith in the mix, has the size advantage, rises over him. Good box out by Porzingis on Zubac. That's actually not something Porzingis usually does that well. Quick drag screen. 3 from Hardaway goes down. That's when they get the matchup again of Zubac on Porzingis with Kleber out. Zubac has to guard Porzingis, and they should be able to create some space offensively. Here's Morris against Seth Curry, and while Seth Curry is a tenacious defender, Marcus Morris certainly has quite the advantage in that matchup. So that's kind of what Rick Carlisle was trying to get away from with Kleber in the game. Here's the rip through by Finney-Smith. Leonard goes down. They got to swing it quickly here. Finney-Smith, nice job by Leonard recovering. Porzingis eluding Zubac for three. Yes.
And great patience there from Porzingis to know he had enough time to kind of let the flyby happen and then get the shot.
Yeah, so 11-2 Dallas run, and Zubac's been taken advantage of a couple times here the last few times down. George gets past Hardaway. Good rear view contest from Hardaway, however. Trey Burke, who did have some big scoring games, particularly against Dallas in one of their first seeding games. Maybe their first seeding games. There's Lou Williams stepping up nicely, but Finney-Smith took it away from George, and the Clippers not providing the same energy defensively as they had early on. Put Lou Williams in the game. Maybe that's part of the reason for that. Beverly, though, I imagine is going to be on a minutes limit with this, his first game back. George, that time he works into the mid-range on Hardaway and uses the size advantage nicely. Curry, now Burke, very undersized backcourt. Porzingis going left as he always does, hits that, and we're going to get Zubac with the foul as well. He ran under Kristaps Porzingis, and Zubac, if he's going to guard him out on the floor, he's about to come out right now. You got to know that Kristaps Porzingis is going to go left every time he puts the ball on the floor from that spot.
Yeah, and that's something that you see in a playoff series is that a lot of that KYP stuff, knowing the opposing personnel, you get that through repetition and the coach is just beating it into you. I think we'll see them handle Porzingis differently and better as soon as later this game, but especially after that.
Yep, and that's where some of these guys who aren't as experienced, that level of attention to detail in the playoffs, can you get that right away? So Dallas having restored order here nicely with Doncic on the bench brings it to a 4-point disadvantage. They're going to go right to the Lou Will Harrell pick and roll. Nice job by Hardaway chucking Harrell on the roll. Good defense by the Mavs, but now Marcus Morris invited to go at Burke. Help coming over from Curry. Here's this fadeaway from Morris. Excellent defensive possession for the Mavs. Here's Burke. Oh, they got Lou Williams with a beautiful fake. They're going to get him with the palming violation, though. It was too beautiful.
And we'll see. An important question here is going to be when Luka Doncic makes his return in this game, because that's going to be so definitive for the Mavericks.
Well, this could be, maybe it's not an injury. Maybe it's just a coaching move. You'll see Steve Kerr do that every once in a while with Steph Curry, where it's just, if he's really just out of sorts, he's got to just kind of get his head back in the game, making a bunch of turnovers. Just give him a couple-minute break and bring it back in. But with things going well here, as Marcus Morris picks up the foul, and Dallas is going to shoot free throws. Morris chucked Porzingis trying to get through the screen, that maybe we will see a newly engaged Luka Doncic when he comes back. But with Dallas playing well right now, I think there's no hurry to get him back in there.
That's true.
And I can't help but note, we're seeing Reggie Jackson in as well. The tenor of this game really changed to me when Lou Williams came in and Pat Beverly went out.
Yeah, the defensive intensity changed almost immediately. Maybe it was the Clippers kind of with the you said statement made. Maybe they felt that way too.
Porzingis hitting the second 3-point game as the Clippers. The other thing that's changed too is the Clippers hit every single jump shot at first, and that hasn't continued. Here's Jackson attacking Burke with his superior size. Misses that floater. Reggie Jackson accused by some of being a bit thirsty in the seeding games. And here's Curry pulling up to tie it from the left wing. An improbable run here for the Mavs. Harrell dribbling at range. Now crosses over on Porzingis. Goes for the wild drive. And there is that foul that we talked about. Kristaps Porzingis got the arm on Harrell. Good job by Harrell feeling the contact, throwing it up. And Harrell with that quickness advantage, even though his jump shot doesn't have to be respected, he can get ahead of steam and go at Porzingis.
Right, and a lot of times it's specific strength weaknesses and Harrell's quickness. I'm really interested in how Doc Rivers deploys that, especially when Harrell gets back into not really having a minutes restriction. And we talked about the idea that maybe you're going to play Zubats in the minutes when the Mavs have like basically a non-Porzingis from to guard. I think that could end up swinging some Harrell rotation as well.
So Doncic back in, still looks to be moving gingerly on. Yeah, I think what it was is he almost like might have kind of hyperextended um, the front side of his ankle, which can actually lead to like a little bit of pain in the backside of your ankle. That's where he seems to be bothered a little bit because when he slipped down, yeah, Doncic still with a little bit of a hitch in his giddy up. Curry screened for by Kleber with Porzingis off the floor. They brought in Boban. Porzingis on the drive, or sorry, that's Curry on the drive, stopped by JaMychal Green, who's played well in the seeding games. Lou Williams looks off Kawhi Leonard, but when you make the layup, feel free.
And that was a really nice, I guess it's called the Gortat by JaMychal Green to open up the driving lane.
Yeah, that's the center screening off the opposing center. Doncic has the man on his back into the midrange. Nice flare screen from Kleba. Left Curry wide open for the three, and Seth Curry is just about the best guy you want shooting a wide open corner three. Here's Leonard engaging Boban. Spin move. Kleba hacks him from behind. And that's where Maxi Kleba, I think he could do okay in Kawhi and ISO, but getting through the screen is where Kleba, a natural big man, doesn't necessarily have the technique. I mean, that's what makes a player like Kawhi Leonard so good. He's really improved his pick and roll game, improved his distribution out of the pick and roll this year. So if you want to go with the bigger option on him where he can't take advantage in isolation, now he can go into the pick and roll, and that guy's not going to be able to get through.
It's funny, we're a little bit behind, so I'm trying not to say a guy's stats because I think it's changing quickly enough that it's...
Yeah, we'll get to that at the quarter. Here's Doncic, gets the screen for Burke. Now they're trying to involve Lou Williams for the first time. They don't get the switch. Doncic has Leonard on his back, snaking in, stripped from behind again, and now they're going to get JaMychal Green.
That looked clean to me.
I think he might have got him across the forearms.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll get to see a second
That's
shot. That's
certainly what the referee seemed to believe.
Doc Rivers and I are in line. But yeah, I mean, Luka, four turnovers in the early going. Actually, I think it was 4, and then maybe he's had 1 after. And then these are his first free throws of the game.
Yeah, Dallas making some hay at the foul line here in the bonus, and their three-point shooting has brought them back into this as well. Both teams shooting it quite well from downtown. The turnovers, of course, have killed the Mavs. Doncic with 5 total and 8 for the team. Tied at 27, although it took us a circuitous route to get here. Now we are seeing Michael Kidd-Gilchrist for the first time. Kidd-Gilchrist and Boban. They've never, ever would go to 2 non-shooters like this. It seems like Carlisle is promoting defense over offense so far. I think he should go the other direction and just try to outscore these guys. Here's Kidd-Gilchrist. His 3 goes down. The Mavs bench is loving that. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, whose basically career was torpedoed by his lack of a three-point shot, just hits one. That's massive. Here's Lou Williams into the lane. Three-pointer. Nice screen by Harrell on Doncic to open up JaMychal Green, and the pass from Lou Williams, who generally likes to find the roll man. Now they've got Boban in the post. They're going to have to double team here, and Harrell does. Boban looking to pass it. No, he picked up his dribble too early and let the double team go away. But Kidd-Gilchrist, can he make it 2 in a row? The answer is no. But no. Boban keeps it alive.
But the hitch seems like it's gone. So that's important.
It looked a little hitchy gone? Here. Let's take a look. It looks a little better. It looks a little bit better. It's not. He doesn't have that sort of like, it's almost like he's got to like, ram the powder into it first before he shoots it in his old shooting motion. Now it seems like he's dispensed with that step a little bit. Curry being held off the ball by Reggie Jackson, no call. Doncic getting his first step back. The speculation was that the Clippers might try and force him into that shot. Kidd-Gilchrist has George. Swing it to Harrell. Harrell with the quickness advantage on Boban should he choose to use it. Lou Williams attacking Burke. Nice hands by Boban, although his acceleration after that loose ball was limited.
I thought Lou was going to pass fake that and then have a layup, but then he went for the pass to Harrell instead.
Nice job by Kidd-Gilchrist getting through on George. George missing it. Oh, JaMychal Green, massive rebound, and he goes through 3 guys to score. He beasted the 7-3 Boban on that play. Doncic in the handoff game. He's going to get another foul here. Paul George picks it up. Couple fouls here on Paul George. That's going to be 3 free throws for Doncic, who anticipated the contact.
And now thankfully they're replaying that rebound. That was gorgeous by. I mean, it wasn't really. I guess it wasn't as much on Boban as we thought, but still a beast performance.
Yeah,
on
Doncic Boban was
tonight.
so big he just completely obscured Doncic from my view from the other angle. But how on earth that wasn't a foul on Doncic, who clubbed Green in the head as he was going up? I have no idea.
Maybe the ref didn't see him either.
Yeah, the foul drawing of Luka Doncic could be huge here in this game. The Clippers, we noted how aggressive they want to get, but now when you've got Lou Williams, Reggie Jackson, Montrezl Harrell out there, all of a sudden you don't have that same level of defensive intensity. And I really, Danny, I'm not a huge fan of this Reggie Jackson, Lou Williams backcourt. Now they've got Shamet in to play the 3. So no Kawhi, no George. This is kind of a weird lineup. I got to be honest here.
Yeah, and especially with the lack of perimeter defenders when Luka's on the floor.
JaMychal Green has had the touch from outside in the bubble, but misses off the pick and roll switch. Now they got Shamet guarding Luka. I mean, that's why this is such a weird lineup. Luka with the size advantage. Kidd-Gilchrist with his third 3. Oh yeah, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. Where the hell did this come from? I mean, he couldn't even get on the floor for these guys. There's Reggie Jackson, no hoper against Boban, and he went for the 2-for-1, but didn't get there quickly enough. So only a 2-second differential, and Luka Doncic, just clear out and let him go at Reggie Jackson here. Space the floor. Now they try to involve Shamet instead. I mean, I think Luka can eat up whoever this is. Goes to the step back on Jackson. Good contest from Jackson is of no relevance to Luka Doncic. 4-point game. Jackson is going to have to fire here. Attacks Luka, and the floater drops out. So the Dallas Mavericks, what a comeback. What did they trail by? They were down by 17 points or something, right?
It was I think it was 14. It was 10-0, and I think it was
18-4. That's right.
So a leading scorer, Luka, despite missing a few minutes, 11 points, 3 of 4 from the field, 4 of 4 from the line. 5 turnovers, though. That certainly is a factor there. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, 6 points. Kawhi has 9. Paul George has 8. And, yeah, I mean, I think one of the big takeaways for me with this was that Doc Rivers, I respect Doc a lot as a coach, but, I have Carlisle kind of higher in my books. And I don't think Rick Carlisle would – I was going to say he wouldn't play a no-hoper lineup, but he played a lineup with limited shooting, but they kind of figured out a way to make it work. Some of that is MKG hitting 2 of 3. But the lineup that Doc Rivers just played, I'm sure he didn't maybe that Luka's on a different rotation, but you're not contractually required to play those players at that time. You can adjust based on situation on the ground.
So a couple of things I could point to. This is something we talked about in the open, that Doc Rivers, because of their lack of continuity, was going to have to try to find the lineups that were going to work, not only from an actual basketball perspective, but also just from an emotional perspective. He's got a lot of guys that have been effective in their careers, that have a lot of pride, that expect to play. And I'm sure, feels like he needs to give everyone a chance. And particularly when you're looking at Patrick Beverley being on a minutes limit, he can get into foul trouble. And you've also, of course, got Harrell coming back for his first time as well. And those guys, I'm sure Doc thinks that Lou Williams also was coming off or not a COVID diagnosis, but a long quarantine. So he's really, you've got all these guys who kind of need to play their way into shape, but he's not doing any favors by, especially that lineup at the very end. And then Carlisle, by contrast, taking Doncic out after the 5 turnovers to just like let him kind of get things figured out and calm down. It seems genius. Trey Burke was plus 15. He really came in and settled things down for the Mavs.
Yeah, and then it also ended up, I don't think Carlisle planned on this, it ended up kind of looking better with the Clippers rotations, because then they put Luka on the floor against a lineup that wasn't as well suited to taking him down.
Yeah, Jovan Bua, the Athletic, killing Reggie Jackson. He's 0 for 4, 0 assists, multiple blown coverages. So I agree with him. Did not look too good. Let's take some questions here.
Yeah. Who should the Sixers look for to replace Brett Brown? The coaching display left much to be desired. I think the way to answer that would just be, what do you want in a next Sixers coach? And the challenge is, it's hard to think of like exactly like where their offense would go. You could think maybe somebody like whether it's as a coach or a coordinator, somebody like Chris Finch could be interesting, because he's had to deal with some unusual personnel at moments in the past. I don't, like, people have said D'Antoni, but I don't think any of D'Antoni, like, he's creative enough offensively, but I don't see anything in his past that's just like, oh yeah, that concept is totally going to work.
When's the next COVID Daily News episode? Thank you so much for asking about that. I know that a lot of people have depended on it. I just don't have time to do it right now. There's just no way, with basically 12 hours of basketball games per day and 6 pods per week, and also having, I think, what did we do in the end? 10 NBA casts on League Pass in like a 13-day period. So it's just, there's no way that I can provide that at the high enough level of quality. I mean, that's probably something that takes a few hours of research to do every day. So I'm going to try to get back to it, or I'm going to maybe see if I can find someone that I trust to do it instead with the same concept. But unfortunately, right now, I got to pay the bills, so it has to go by the wayside, I'm afraid. So we're getting a look at Dalen right now, as the first possession of the half for the Mavs was not, or the quarter was not particularly outstanding. Doncic switching out of George. They just let him switch it. Doncic gets his ankles broken with the crossover, and George goes right in for the floater. Little rim protection on the floor here. They're going with JaMychal Green at center. Harrell is out, and that's an alignment that I think we both like for the Clips, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely.
They're going to do a lot of switching. Doncic trying to get him in the mix. Beverly, and he forces the travel from Kid Gilchrist. Beverly helped,
yeah,
and then
Kid Gilchrist should know. He should just stay outside the arc. That's where his game is.
Yeah, Beverly did a nice job helping. You see the difference between him and some of the other Clippers guards defensively. Williams attacking Curry, gets right by him, easy layup, and they're going to count this. They say it's on the floor. Lou can't believe it.
I think they pull. I think they're not giving him the points.
Yeah, he is. That sheepish smile confirms it, but looked like it was right on the borderline for continuation. He blew by Curry.
I would agree.
14.
And this is more where I think the series could go eventually, just going smaller and quicker. We see that a lot in playoff series, and not necessarily this specific personnel, but the Clippers, not relying as much on their centers, I think is very possible.
Dallas is not relying on their centers either. They're playing Kid Gilchrist at center right now. Shamet eluding Doncic, but the pass was too much steam for JaMychal Green. Finney Smith sprinting down into the corner. Excellent hustle, and he cashes out.
Yeah, and this is now a 5-point lead for Dallas, up 5-2 at the start of this quarter.
Right, definitely a shark defensively. Hasn't had as large of a role as might have been expected. Has played little with Luka, but this time, with no traditional big on the floor, Dallas looks to push it. Curry, nice closeout by Shamet. Shamet does a nice job guarding shooters. They swing it way to the weak side, and now it's Lou Williams trying to pressure up on Doncic. This isn't going to work. Doncic turns the corner on him and draws the tripping foul. Lou Williams can't believe it, but that's a good for the goose, good for the gander situation with Lou Williams.
Yeah, he absolutely tripped him. It was the correct call.
Doncic again gingerly getting up.
And that is a fair challenge with these, with the lineups that the Clippers are going to is you have Lou Williams on there, then there's an easy way to make them switch into a problem.
Yeah, Lou Williams in the weak side corner now. Doncic going at Beverly. Beverly on the reach in. Doncic makes him pay, and I wouldn't say kissed it off the glass, but he rattled it off the glass. Williams. Now George. Again, not much alacrity to this Clippers offense. They try to involve Doncic. George crosses over, and we're getting a blocking foul on the pass off from Kid Gilchrist, who.
If you want to know why I'm such a firm advocate for fixing the charge call, it's because of the injury risk of plays like that. Like there was nothing defensive about that. It was just standing in a spot where Paul George was going to be, wasn't involved in the play at all, and that could have been an injury.
Yeah, it's worth remembering as we watch this game that statistically, this is the second and third best team in the Western Conference. George, he's starting to cook a little bit, but he blew the layup. And now Doncic, no offensive foul called there. On the baseline, the pass, and it looked like did he get shoved or is he out of bounds? No, I think he got shoved by Shamet.
Yeah, I think there was a push. It kind of forces the call if the guy goes out of bounds. You're like, well, crap, he went out because that guy nudged him.
7-point Dallas lead as the Clipper offense has stagnated. Kawhi Leonard returns to try and change that.
Well, it looked like Paul George might have been complaining about that no call there. He does have a tech already. Like he has to watch this a little bit. I mean, I don't think the refs would necessarily be like, oh, like they'll probably give him a longer leash, but if they kind of like forget about it a little bit, remember these are quieter gyms, and I think we noticed that in the Jazz Nuggets game, they're calling a lot more.
Doncic off the Kleba screen, engaging Green on the switch. Crosses him up again. Goes around Beverly. Seth Curry with the three. Nice play. That pass was a little low. Leonard just had two guys on the backside, and he left the wrong one. Now Leonard in the post against Doncic. Advantage matchup. Goes baseline. Cut off. Good double team from Curry. Swing it to Beverly. His three. Little off.
And I like that Shamet moved that ball quickly, but still didn't produce a made shot.
Porzingis has spent a fair amount of time on the bench here. They try to load boxes and elbows. Doncic is feeling it. Steps back. I really don't care for that shot in the slightest, but we're going to get that little nudge in the back. Beverly shoved Finney Smith, and that's actually one of the rare ones where the guy goes flying that I think that actually did enable Beverly to get that rebound.
Yeah, and Porzingis has only played 9 minutes so far. He sat for the end of the first, and then he's been out for the first about 3 minutes of the second.
Yeah, we may see him come back in very shortly here. Seth Curry, I think, has really changed this game for the Mavs as well.
Absolutely.
Now it's Leonard guarding Doncic, but surely there'll be a switch involved here. Curry, pick and roll. Kleba, Curry, stepping back, long two. Terrible shot again. That wasn't late clock or anything, was it?
I don't think so. It was 6.
All right. George going at Doncic again. Doncic has to guard someone. Doncic with the steal. Doncic has the 2-on-1. He'll Euro step into Patrick Beverly, and he'll shoot 2 more free throws.
Well, and remember, this game started 14-4. So
18-4.
Then,
it was 18-4.
Oh, 18-4. You're right. So it's 18 points for the Clippers since then, and it's a 42-18 run for the Clippers, or for the Mavericks, sorry, against the Clippers.
Doncic hits the first free throw. Mavs now back big all of a sudden here. 3 fouls for Beverly.
Yeah,
that's always a concern for him. I think that's part of why he's not quite up there on the all defense to me, because he's really fouls a lot. What were you going to say there?
No, that's almost exactly what I was going to say. And so Luka overall for the game, he's now up to 15 points, and he's had 6 free throw attempts.
So we're going to get Zubac back in now to match up with this larger Mavs unit. Kleba is out, though, again. I think Carlisle might have done that, seeing Zubac coming back in, thinking that he wants to get the matchup between Porzingis and Zubac. Now Lou Williams getting Doncic in the air. Avoided the foul, though. George has to create something very late clock. Goes into Porzingis, and the shot clock expires.
Yeah, it was the right idea from Paul George, but just a little bit too late. No shot. Yeah, I mean, by PG with 2 seconds left on the clock, you pretty much just have to pull up. And Luka going out again.
Lou Williams trying to deny Burke. Here's Porzingis off the fake DHO. A little hasty there, perhaps as well. Mavs taking a few too many quick shots here for my liking, but they've been quite efficient so far. Hardaway is back as well. Here's Lou Williams. They'll just switch this one, double team it, in fact, and Morris just let it go through his hands. Here's Burke pushing. He's got Williams back. Not a good defender. Burke finishes easily. Dallas by 14, and Doc Rivers has got to get a timeout.
And remember, Dallas went 0 for the first couple minutes of this game, still has a 135 offensive rating in this first half. I think it's a good time, though, to tell them about our friends at bookies.com. It's about information. That's something that you and I both like about it. And it's whether you're betting spreads, money lines, totals, or parlays, they have expert opinions. They have all the lines for you. And so you can get that all in one place. And that one place is bookies.com/NBA, though you can and should follow them at bookies as well on Twitter.
Yeah, absolutely. They're expert picks. They got Mark Stratman, Adam Thompson, and also, most importantly, if betting is legal in your area, they have the absolute least expensive ways to click through and bet from their site with the very information that you are getting from them. So bookies.com is a great place to go follow them at bookies on Twitter.
Yeah, one of Stratman's picks for the day was the Nets-Raptors over, which went way over, as it turned out. Didn't look like it early, but it ended up getting there, and that's what it matters.
So this is a great one here. Andrew Sims, not sure how you could watch Spider Mitchell go off for the third highest playoff scoring total ever and criticize his backcourt violation. Let me explain to you how Twitter works. On Twitter, you don't actually write down literally every single thought that you have about a game. It's for one snippet, for one observation. People have this idea that your Twitter account has to be like some summary of everything that happens. That was the key play. It wasn't being talked about that much, at least at the time that I tweeted it. It was an inexplicable play, and it did, in fact, cost them the game. Even if he had 57, that cost them the game. He acknowledged that it was a really dumb play. And you know what? Like, when we talk about the game on Dunked On, that's going to be probably like 3% of the discussion. It's just a tweet. One tweet about one play. Don't go crazy that it's like, oh, that's the first thing you think of. No, it's Twitter. You just have one quick observation and you make it.
Oh, that's a great question from Harsha. What has happened to the Clippers offense? I think that one big thing that we had to account for at the beginning, I talk about feedback loops all the time, they were getting a ton in transition. And once that faded away, it has really toned down. And it's when you look at the overall stats, the Clippers, do you want to guess their half-court points per possession right now?
Yeah, I mean, you consider all those turnovers that they got early. I mean, it's not great, is it? It's got to probably be like in the, 0.8, 0.9 range, probably.
73.
Yeah, that's really bad.
7. Yeah, and even when the Clippers were trucking the Mavericks, it still wasn't that high.
Let's see what else we got here. How much of this is unsustainable shooting from Dallas at 8.9 seconds? Good to see you guys. I mean, it's got to be a lot, obviously, but this is a team that can go crazy. Yeah, 9 of 15 for 3. That's not going to continue. I mean, to me, I think the greater issue is the Clippers' offense, as Danny just alluded to. They might have gotten a little bit enthused by the great shooting that they had at the start. And also, I mean, I think it's been a lot about the rotations, as both these coaches are going with some interesting lineups. When Paul George and Kawhi Leonard are out there, I think the Clips will probably still be okay. Lou Williams, they do a nice job on that little slip of the screen. Now it's Leonard switched onto by Wright late in the clock. gets space, but he's switched back onto by Finney-Smith. Nice job. Late clock again. George has to create over Hardaway. Misses. Oh, there's Zubac on the offensive glass. He can hurt Porzingis there.
And remember, that's another thing that the Clippers have had a problem with so far. They've only taken 4 free throws in
Yeah,
this
they're
game.
one of the highest free throw shooting teams in the league. Zubac's up top. Leonard, not a ton of alacrity off the screen. Then he gets to his mid-ranger, though, and Kristaps Porzingis, if you're giving that shot up to Kawhi Leonard, you're just going to get burned all day. And now they just go right into Marcus Morris off the drive, right a little bit too hasty. Here's Morris with the fadeaway over Porzingis. Clippers with a couple of buckets since it was 50-36. Here's Porzingis on the drive, stopped by Zubac, an excellent verticality defender. Leonard wanted a foul from behind as he said he was tripped. Now he's going to see if he can take it out on Dorian Finney-Smith. Back to goal. Smith knocks it away. That time Smith picks up the foul.
Yeah, and it looked like the right call, though it can sometimes be hard to tell from that angle.
Finney-Smith, I should say. Respect the full name. Sometimes we're trying to call it fast. And that's a foul on Ivica Zubac. He got him right in the head.
Yeah, he got ball, but he got arm first and head.
It looks like it's going to be a pretty physical series. Leonard off the dribble, back to goal. Nice job. Again, they've done a good job of not going for these pump fakes. Now George, how many times has he had a great late clock? Porzingis with the stop. No, he can't believe it. He's got to get teed up. Yep, just happened. The air punch. We've seen it. Grayson Allen, then Paul George, and now Porzingis.
Grayson Allen apparently did not die for anybody's sins. He just started a trend.
Looked pretty darn clean to me.
That's now. No, I think he got his arm before. I think there was a foul before the block.
Technically correct is the best kind of correct, right?
Yeah, I think that was a foul.
Now, if Rick Carlisle really wants to rub it in the ref's faces, he could challenge here.
I think he'd lose the challenge.
Yeah, because there was a little bit of contact there, but I certainly understand where Porzingis was coming from because he was well in position. That George had no chance there. But Clippers grinding their way back in. Oh, here it is. I think this is it. No, they're saying it's too late to challenge. Maybe before he had to call it before the technical was shot.
Before they
because now there's been another play. Yeah.
Well, they just saved Carlisle from. I believe they saved Carlisle from.
Well,
losing
that's a
timeout.
great way to stay in your star's good graces if you know that rule and you could make it seem like you really believed him and you really wanted to challenge. But I mean, we see that a lot, right? Like
we're so jaded, Nate. Hey, but you might be right.
I wouldn't put it past Rick Carlisle. Here's Burke off the Porzingis screen. Nice rear view contest by George. Takes it away. Porzingis tried to draw the foul. Good verticality by the Clips. Clippers looking to extend on a 7-0 run. Leonard, free throw line, goes to the floater. Interesting shot there. I've never seen Kawhi Leonard shoot a floater from that range, and it is now a 9-0 run, and Dallas needs to talk it over. And as Doncic has been out this whole time, I think that's part of why they've been struggling to score.
It's a good time to get to some of your questions. Would you consider the Marcus Morris trade a disappointment so far? And if so, what does it need to turn around? I think that trade was always about the playoffs more than the regular season. And yeah, he has. I don't think he's been as good so far, but part of it is just getting used to being a smaller cog in the bigger machine. And I think he'll do fine in the playoffs.
Yeah, I know Jovan was talking about how he thought that Morris has done a little bit better of a job fitting into things, and that his concern was more about Reggie Jackson kind of hijacking the offense a little bit. Jackson definitely has something to prove. He got bought out. He's going to be a free agent. There will be perhaps some demand for his services on the point guard market if he can crank out a good playoffs here.
A question about what Kawhi is shooting from the mid range this year. So I'm looking at cleaning the glass. They have it as all mid rangers, 45%. Then if you want the split, 42% on outside of, so 14 feet to the 3 point line, and then 47% on short to mid range. So that's 4 to 14. So overall, 81st percentile for a wing.
Yeah, and I think that the difference with him in terms of shooting a 19-footer or a 20-footer and shooting a 13-footer is a massive one. And like when he gets to that 13-footer, that's when you really just can't stop him. About the best you're going to do is a contested 19-footer against him, but he is an elite scorer, that 45% mark, when you consider that that's almost certainly a half-court possession and it's before an offensive rebound. That's actually like a pretty decent number.
From CJN, how would you guys fix Philly if you were the general manager, aka getting shooting and playmaking?
Is a time machine involved?
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard for them to change their team right now because Al Horford is a negative. Even if he had some good moments today, he's a negative value contract. Ben Simmons is a challenging. Like it's challenging to figure out exactly what team is going to be falling all over themselves to get him. And I mean, yeah, in a time machine, you probably don't give up everything they gave up for Tobias Harris. A lot of the other. I mean, also if you have a time machine, then maybe you know what happened with Markelle Fultz. But from this point, it is exceedingly difficult to pivot. They're like a giant boat now.
Yeah, I mean the Harris trade to me was the sin that they just couldn't come back from.
Yeah, like I think one of the Harris trade and what ended up happening with Fultz, like if one of those two things happens, you're probably okay. But both of them happening just locked them in.
All right, we're back here. And interested to see what the lineups are to close things out. How do you think Zubac has looked so far?
A lot better when they had a second big on the floor. I think that Porzingis has made it a little bit challenging for him defensively, but the Clippers have other options. It's not like they have to play Zubac.
Yeah, Harrell, I presume, is in Doc Rivers' preferred closing lineup, but the question is whether he wants to go to that now with Harrell having spent so long in quarantine. Doncic is back. They run a little dribble pitch action. They're switching everything now with Zubac guarding Kleber in the corner. Porzingis tries to drive past Leonard, makes him slip down. Kristaps Porzingis, he went right, and he made Kawhi Leonard fall down for the mid-ranger. That was not what I was expecting on that possession.
No.
Here's Williams. Kawhi one-on-one against Kleber. Williams tries to screen for him. They get stuck again, have to switch it, and Lou Will hits the three. And it all starts, Danny, with Kleber's inability to get through the screen. He ends up just in a weird bear hug with Lou Williams and then switches out at him too late off the initial screen. Doncic back to Kleber. Kleber, wow, he's been way off with his 2 3-pointers. He's going to have to make that if he's guarded by Zubac. George engaging Porzingis. Porzingis can't stop him that time. Paul George has had the better of that matchup.
That was a gorgeous finish. Got into the body and then got around it to get the finish.
Now Porzingis is grabbed from behind, and he's going to act his way into 2 free throws. Yeah, that's something. If you're a big, you should absolutely do that. We saw James Harden start that with the ball. Porzingis saw Leonard's arm out there, and he just ran right through his arm and pushed it out of the way and made it look like Kawhi Leonard was holding him. And that is a point of education, holding guys on the way to the rim. The rest are generally not going to be looking directly at that. So if they just see that action out of the corner of their eye, you're going to get a foul call.
I'm terrified of if that continues and expands in the league, because that could make things, because unless they add a fourth official, it's going to be very hard to catch that all the time.
I am in agreement.
But kudos to Porzingis for exploiting it.
George, to me, has looked really good in the bubble, much better than during the regular year. He says his shoulders are feeling great. Same play again here with the screen. Leonard rejects the screen and scores over Kleber. Kleber remembered how he got screened last time, was super worried about it, and then Leonard just went the other way to get the clean look. Now Doncic
And that was a KYP thing for Lou Williams. Lou Williams was going to do anything on that Luka drive. Leaves his man. Luka's going to find him every time.
Here's Morris setting the screen for George. Now George goes at Hardaway. Doncic helping from behind. George misses it.
Something to track in these last 4 minutes. How often does Lou Williams touch the ball on offense?
Yeah, because you wonder why he should be out there. Nice job by Morris taking away the step back. Doncic gets it right back, putting Morris in the mix. Turned it over. 7th turnover of the half for Doncic. That leaves Morris open for his left wing three. Bucket.
Looks more like the beginning of the first quarter there.
So Dallas's 10-point lead, actually 14-point lead, has whittled away. Still 3:10 left in the half. They want to engage Zubac. Hardaway from way out. Again, another hasty shot there from the Mavs. Not a good possession. Curry has Lou Williams in pick and roll. There's the crossover on the left side. Lou tried to draw the foul and couldn't. Now Morris stepping in from 2-point range against Doncic. Timeout, Rick Carlisle, as the Clippers now have made this a 21-7 run to tie it at 57.
Some overall stats in this one. The Clippers are shooting 7 of 14 from 3, so 50%. The Mavs are actually better than that at 10 of 18, so more attempts and a higher proportion of makes, and getting to the free throw line more. But one crazy thing about this game, basically 0 offensive rebounds. Only 2 credited for the Clippers and 1 credited for the Mavericks. Some of that is that both teams are shooting over 55% from the field.
But yeah, I would expect the Clippers to have the better of that in the end with the combination of Harrell and Zubac. Mavs not really any great offensive rebounders in their rotation. So this has been a game of runs, 18-2 for the Clippers to start it. Actually, it was 18-2, not 18-4. 48-18 Mavs, and then 19-7 Clippers, leading us to tied at 57.
See if we have any questions. We're actually pretty close to being back. Ricky Stewart, am I crazy for thinking a trade involving Ben Simmons and Ricky Rubio would help both teams? I mean, I don't love the Simmons Ayton Booker combination. Booker, he has done more off ball than we anticipated, but I think it helped them defensively.
Well, and Ayton, he's going to play with spread pick and roll. You need to give him some space to attack, and Simmons doesn't do a great job there. Now, just getting some more talent for Phoenix would be nice, but I more think that Rubio doesn't really help the Sixers very much. Kleba switched onto by Williams, and then the 3 is there for Hardaway. Zubac miscommunicated with Lou Williams. Good job in that Spain pick and roll set to get the action against Lou Williams and Zubac, who were not prepared to defend it. Leonard, who's been quiet, he'll take it over Kleba going to his right. Zubac got inside position on Porzingis, but couldn't control. And Tim Hardaway has been such a revelation for Dallas. Someone in their organization, when they traded for him, said, no, we think he can really help us. I thought that was ludicrous. And no, he's actually come pretty close to earning his salary. Spain pick and roll again. And just that incredible control, Danny, from Doncic. Most guys would be out of control there. They go into the test to George. They throw up something wild. And Doncic under control, just able to let George fly by him in the air. Nice pass from Leonard to Zubac. Zubac again.
Yeah, and the really nice second effort there. It was so much of a commitment from Kleba and Porzingis. Zubac's able to put the rebound second chance.
Doncic has Zubac. Leonard comes back to him. He'll go to the floater, misses it, and he's going to get a couple of free throws, though, instead, as Leonard had reached in. We apologize. The camera angle can be difficult at times here. This side rail cam that they go to, you can't really see what's happening very well. But that's not important for a camera angle, is it?
It's novel.
Yeah, like go to that camera angle for like this. Like, don't give us the live action.
The things that Nate fast forwards through anyway.
So Kawhi will take a seat. Is he on too many fouls here?
That is his third,
Yeah.
yeah. Beverly, George, and Kawhi all have
Oof.
3.
So let's see who gets the matchup against Luka. This could be big now with 3 fouls for Kawhi. They've really struggled without him on the floor in the bubble. Williams with Zubac. Curry is on his back. Nice feed, and Zubac just crams it down.
Yeah, the patience and vision there from Lou Williams to find that passing angle was really impressive.
Doncic. Hesitation on Morris. Nice cut. Porzingis with the big dunk attempt. Is that going to be 4 on George? It is. He got him in the back.
That it's possible my
Oh, that
up.
might
That
be
was
his
3.
third. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's we might have gotten a little heavy with the delay this time. Yeah, he definitely fouled him. So call it 3 on George. Porzingis hitting the first. He surprisingly has spent much time at the line in the bubble. He's had some big double-digit free throw games. And you don't think of him as having that sort of a game, that's being that physical, more of a jump shooter, but he's had a few tricks to get there. It's been a big part of how he's averaging 30 points a game in the bubble. 5-point Dallas lead. They'll switch this action. Lou Williams with the 3 going to his left, and Lou Williams has played well offensively. Now Hardaway going at Williams into the lane. That sets up a wide open Kleba, and he finally hits one. That's a big shot for Maxi Kleba being guarded by Zubac, and it all starts with the pick and roll involving Williams. Hardaway gets into the lane. He's able to set him up off the help. Now Lou feeling it himself, going to his left against Doncic. 2-for-1 chance for the Mavs. Curry should run this down a little bit. Doncic wants the ball back against Lou Williams. Curry looks him off. 3 for Porzingis off the pick and pop is short. That's a good shot, though. Lou for 1. Here it is. Yeah, you got it.
There it is. And the easiest way to get the Lou for 1 is by a foul. And so because that stops the clock immediately, and so 30.2, they should be totally fine. Though I still firmly believe that teams should go earlier at the end of the first 3 quarters than they do, just because the other team won't have enough time to get a good shot, and you have a chance for a putback. Or a second chance. It doesn't have to be a putback if you go like 6.
Ooh, missed first free throw from Lou, who's excellent there, of course. Yeah, this Clippers unit with both George and Kawhi on 3 fouls, just a save me. Harrell is going to come back in. This is interesting. I don't know if I would want to bring Montrezl Harrell in without a warm-up, having sat since when did he go out? It was a while ago, huh? He looks a little chubbier than you might expect, which that's understandable. Like, he spent a lot of time out of the bubble, unclear how much he was able to work out, and then he had the quarantine 7 days when he got back. So it makes sense that he wouldn't be in peak condition right now.
Yeah, Harrell never played in a seeding game at all, so it must have been early.
Double team on Doncic comes. Curry swings it. Finney-Smith. Nice help from Morris to take away the drive and the steal. Here's Harrell. 10 seconds left going at Doncic. Doncic clubs him down, and Doncic thought he got it cleanly, but when the other guy has the advantage on you and you swing down hard like that, you're just never going to get the call, whether you get ball or not. I mean, he takes just like a big swing. Look at this. Yeah, you know what? He did get the ball. That's totally clean. He's right. But when you have that wild swing, the referee is just ready to blow his whistle, as he has 1,000 times before in that situation. And so that's just how it's going to be. Refereeing is a hard job.
Yeah, and at a certain, it's funny that players, like, they can see it probably in other phases, but when they're a defender and commit what they don't think is a foul, they're not thinking about the perspective and the angle of the refs. But you're right, 100%.
Terrence Mann is in here now for this last 9 seconds. Mann out of Florida State. Really athletic point guard. We're going to see Shamet as well. They're probably going to try and just get a switch everything group here with 9 seconds left in the half. Harrell made the first free throw to pull LA within 2. Can't do it. Good job by Man to slowing down Doncic. Now he gets into it. 3 seconds. Doncic. Floater. No. So what a offensive half from Dallas, particularly considering their putrid start. But this is a really, really good offensive team. And they're not going to shoot this crazy percentage from three, but they showed why it is that they are so dangerous.
Well, and especially a lot of it was created by Luka Doncic's passing. That these were very clean looks, and a lot of them, other than let's call them the three by Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, by good 3-point shooters. Seth Curry, he took three of them, made three. Tim Hardaway Jr. took five. Maxi Kleba was better usually than the first two horrible misses he had. So yeah, I mean, also a really weird half in that both teams led by 14 or more points. That doesn't happen super often. But yeah, I mean, that's setting itself up for an interesting second half.
All right, well, we're going to have to take a little bit of a break here for, call it 7 or 8 minutes. We'll come back, take some questions, and set up the second half in, about half of a halftime or so. So get a little relaxation, get yourself a snack. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back, everyone, to halftime of Mavs and Clippers. We'll get to some of your questions in a moment. We've got a lot to get to here, but let's talk a little bit about the first half before we do that, Danny.
Yeah, I mean, the swings were absolutely incredible. I mean, each team having a lead of larger than 14 points. And I also think there's something interesting about the shot chart here. I mean, you think about the Mavericks having this ridiculously efficient offense. They had a 128 basically offensive rating. They only took 6 shots in the restricted area. It is true that Dallas had 16 free throw attempts, and a fair portion of those were drives to the basket. Also, all of Dallas's free throws were two guys, Porzingis and Luka.
Yeah, those guys have been solid. They really got to find a way to stop fouling Porzingis in particular. He had 14, Hardaway Jr. had 11, and Doncic, after that rough start, he did have 7 turnovers, but 19 points, 6 assists, 8 of 8 from the foul line, where he can struggle on occasion. For the Clippers, Leonard and George, both in double figures with 15 points. Marcus Morris had an excellent half with 12. It was the Clippers bench. Lou Williams, negative 11. JaMychal Green, negative 11. Landry Shamet was negative 14 in 4 minutes, although I don't necessarily put that on him. Before we take some questions, let's tell you once again about our sponsors, Bookie.com. And the numbers from halftime are pretty ridiculous in terms of the over-under. The new halftime over-under is 250.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty insane. The Clippers are 3-point favorites on the halftime line and minus 195, negative 195 on the money line. Mavericks are plus 155. So head to bookies.com for money-winning tips, expert picks, and the best legal sportsbook odds and deals anywhere. Let's hit some questions before we resume.
Oh, this is a good one from Ricky Stewart. What is the number one advanced stat that you would like to see normalized in basketball lexicon discussed on national broadcasts? So I would say shifting to, just on a really basic level, shifting to pace adjusted offensive and defensive numbers makes a huge difference, because you still see a lot of the, oh, well, this team, this team has the highest scoring offense. They do 110 points per game or whatever like that. And it just doesn't provide a sufficient amount of
I
context.
think the national broadcasts are doing better there. Some local broadcasts are doing a very good job. A few other local broadcasts are kind of in the Stone Age. I think largely, we're like 70% of the way there on that one. I'd love to see usage and true shooting really become the biggest things rather than just raw points per game. Field goal percentage is pretty useless at this point in time with the number of threes and free throws that some of these stars take. How would you rank Gary Trent, Terrence Davis, and Dante DiVincenzo as prospects?
Terrence Davis would be last. I think that he's intriguing and he has potential to be a decent scorer, but I like Trent's like the 3 and D that he's shown, especially guarding guys that are sometimes bigger than him because of what Portland needs. That's been impressive. DiVincenzo, I mean, obviously there are certain parts of his stats profile that I really like, but I might, it would depend on the team that you have, but I might go Trent over DiVincenzo for teams that need that specific thing. And because I think I think offensively they're both better complementary pieces, and I like Trent's defense better, but I think I'm the outlier there.
No, you're not the outlier to me. I would rank Gary Trent number 1 as well. He's just shown the best shooting. I mean, that 40% three-point shooting, and he's good defensively. That his performance in that fourth quarter against Ja Morant might have won them that game where he had all those steals and deflections. So I've been very impressed by him. I know he doesn't have as long of a pedigree in terms of a full season of playing well, but I certainly believe in his shooting. To me, he has really been lighting it up to the point where, okay, maybe even if he's not 40%, he's going to be a 37% guy going forward. All right, we are back here. Finney Smith has the matchup on George. See if there are any changes. It does not appear so in these starting groups. Beverly, they don't know what play they're running. Finally, they get it to Leonard as he tells Zubats where to throw it. They get Luka switch on to Leonard, and we're going to get a hold on Kleba underneath against Morris. Yeah, Kleba. I mean, Kleba just, man, he is terrible at getting through screens. Like, his move apparently is to, like, just bear hug the guy who's screening him. That doesn't work too well. Leonard against Kleba. Morris slipping the screen. Good job by Dallas navigating that. Now
And
George.
I will advise the Clippers, don't slip screens involving Maxi Kleba until he proves he can get through one. Just actually screen him. He doesn't need to be a good screen.
Yeah, that's a great point. Man, how many times has Paul George been stuck in the late clock having to create off the dribble? He could do that, but that's not the strength of his game. Doncic turns the corner. Finney Smith is wide open. They came off the strong side corner. Kleba on the offensive glass over Morris. Finney Smith has another opportunity. Missed that too. Kleba tips it out, but Leonard tracks back. Now he's got Hardaway. He's going to go back to goal here. Works into the lane for the short mid-range. Instead, it's the no-look pass to Morris, and these teams trading missed corner threes left and right.
And that's also the development of Kawhi's game that I think he was looking for the pass there in a way that he would not have in previous
Hardaway
years.
tried to put Beverly in the mix, and Pat Beverly was not interested in that. Now Doncic. Oh, what a pass along the baseline, but the closeout from George was even better, and then they throw it away.
God, what a waste of a beautiful pass. To just kick that, to make drills the pass to the corner, but a great closeout and then just nothing.
I mean, I don't know how good that closeout was in the end. Like, Cleveland needs to just take that shot. That's an open corner three. I don't think George would have blocked that or anything.
Or the pump fake one dribble in any sort of decision. They would have had a huge advantage there. You don't have to just rush the pass.
Unfortunately, his decision was to throw it into the backcourt.
Yeah.
So Clips inbounding way in the corner, and here's George off the screen, rebounded by Kleba. Porzingis, high pick and roll. Doncic attacking Zubac. Zubac forced the miss nicely. That's where Doncic doesn't have quite the speed to get around someone like Zubac. George, switch on to by Kleba. Along the baseline. Nice left-handed pass. Zubac blows the hook. Now George has a three. Patrick Beverly, a great offensive rebound. Man, how many corner threes these teams going to miss? They were on fire. Shot combined over 50% in the first half, but have missed their first four, all wide open corner looks.
Yeah, and as the broadcast saying, 0 for 3 and 0 for 7 so far. Now 0 for 4 for the Mavericks.
Now Porzingis is on George. They try to get the deep post up, and Zubac was not expecting the pass. He did not get a good seal on Finney Smith.
And that's Patrick Beverly's fourth foul.
Yeah, Patrick Beverly and they need him. I know this is his first game back from the calf issue, but they need him to play well. Yeah, it looks like Porzingis actually got a deflection on that play. Little Spain pick and rolls action being set up to some degree. Doncic tries to go at Zubac. What a hook over Zubac. I thought he had no angle on that one. And finally, someone scratches here in the third. Now Leonard, Kleba gets screened off again. Leonard wide open. Great rebound, though, by Kleba, getting back into that in front of Zubac. Doncic almost carried it. Spin move. Yeah, they're going to get him. He did carry it. Good call. And now a bit of an altercation with, I think it was Morris and Porzingis getting engaged. And not in the nice romantic way.
I don't think I saw any kind of like arms go up, but I mean they might review it at some point.
Yeah, Luka diffusing the situation. It appeared that Luka and Morris had a few words, and then Porzingis became involved. Yeah, Morris with the old wrap the guy up after the whistle blows. If there's a foul, you don't want him to get the shot off. But that's one of the like little dumb agitating moves that guys can do. Porzingis, yeah, he steps in there. This could be a technical, double technicals maybe.
Yeah, and I don't. Oh no, but Porzingis already has a tech.
That would be a problem. The air punch, yeah, you got him.
Oh, the refs have to fight. Do they fight their instinct on the double technical here?
I mean, that's pretty dumb by Porzingis, though, with one technical getting involved. Marcus Morris is Not going to back down from an altercation, I'll tell you that. So we'll have an internal review, so let's take some questions. We got anything here?
I'm looking right now. I think it's more comments. Oh, which players can slip screens and make contact effectively?
They're kind of two different sides of the coin, I would say. It, generally you've got like the quick guys who want to get on top of the rim, like a Brandon Clark does that a lot. I think the guys who do the best are the ones who vary it up pretty well and make contact sometimes. A lot of times too, I think it depends who your ball handler is. If you have a guy who's a dynamic finisher at the rim, you want to get him going downhill, and then you can count on him to draw the guy. And if you're a little bit behind, you can allow the passing angle to come in that way. Whereas if it's more of a Ricky Rubio type, then maybe you want to get the quick slip because that guy's looking to pass it anyway. So is that it?
Yeah.
Oh, what a bummer. What a bummer. Kristaps Porzingis is ejected. Oh, that's one of the... We wanted to see what happens in the stress test. I mean, like, that's a technical foul. He gets in there and just, like, lost his composure. He forgot how many technicals he had. Well, it took Kawhi a long time to get it to Beverly, but he hits the three anyway. So Kid Gilchrist is in now. Kleba will probably be the screen setter a lot of times. Maybe it'll be Kid Gilchrist. Let's see if Kid Gilchrist can hit a few more shots. Here's Luka drawing the foul, and he's kicking himself for not just taking that three. It'll be instead be on the pass off.
But you know who else is kicking themselves? Patrick Beverly, because that's his 5th foul.
Oof. Well, that's not as bad as Porzingis.
Oh, no, not even close.
And the whole theory of the Mavs offense really changes without Porzingis, particularly with Zubats out there, because Zubats now can barricade the rim a little bit more. I think they would be wise to actually put Zubats on Kid Gilchrist, and that's in fact what they're doing. Spain pick and roll coming here for the Mavs. Luka, oh, this is going to be a charge on Paul George. Great job by Paul George drawing the charge right in his chest. That's a good call.
And, I mean, that's a little bit risky from George considering he has 3 fouls, but he was there a mile and a half ahead of time, or an hour and a half.
And I trust Paul George to know that as one of the best defensive wings in the league. He was there. Morris at the elbow. Leonard off the screen. Doncic steps out, and he commits the foul. Doncic raising a finger to acknowledge his sin.
Though I believe that is Luka's 3rd foul because he just picked up 2 in quick succession.
Lou Williams is in for Beverly, so that'll hurt the Clippers defensively. Leonard on the drive goes at Kleba. Wow, missed the layup. Good verticality from Kleba, although I thought Leonard had a nice angle. Now Doncic in transition. Quick little drag screen from Hardaway. Doncic gets it to him. He'll drive, pull up over Zubac. Yes. Dallas is really going to have to outscore the Clippers now without Porzingis in there. Doncic switching on to George. George sizing him up. Gets it to Morris. Has the angle of attack, but Finney-Smith cuts him off. Good help from Kleba to deter. Now Morris with the jump shot from 14. Off the Kid Gilchrist screen. Doncic. And Zubac has really done well on him. He's forced him into 3 difficult shots. He's only made 1 in that pick and roll. And that's one thing, Danny, I think that Doncic, the next step for him is he doesn't really have a great pull-up jump shot. Like he'll pull up on the step back, but he can't really just take that 3 off the pick and roll in rhythm or really shoot a foul line jump shot. It's either the floater or all the way to the rim.
Like the Chris Paul pull-up.
Right.
Like that would be.
Morris against Doncic over him. Yeah, Marcus Morris starting to cook. Tied at 73. They're trying to engage Paul George here. Doncic wants to go at George. Now they go at Lou Williams after that. Oh, moving screen. And that's actually Luka Doncic's fault, I would
He
say.
went too early.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, and that is something that fans and everything miss a lot, is that a lot of illegal screen calls are actually the ball handler screwing up.
Yeah, because if you go before your guy actually gets in position for the screen, he's going to be moving when the contact occurs. They want to go back to Morris here. Pick and roll with Zubac. Pulls up over Doncic. Missed. Zubac. Zubac again. Pump fake. Oh, the cram by Zubac once more. And Rick Carlisle needs to talk it over.
Yeah, and I talked at halftime about how few offensive rebounds there were. Now the Clippers have 8 for the game. Zubac has 6 himself.
Zubac has quickly taken on the exalted mantle of Pau Gasol as the NBA's least exciting dunker.
I thought you were going to say he's taken on the mantle of Valanciunas as the guy who rebounds so many of his own misses, but that's a couple of guys.
Yeah, it's good to see Carmelo back in the league. He's a big proponent of that himself. So let's hit some questions here briefly.
Yeah. You mentioned guys who are bad at getting through screens. Is there a path to getting better? Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are a lot of things the player can do. One of the big things is just getting more experience and figuring out ways to get skinny, ways to get through it. But it is, off the top of my head, something that players who are bad at don't often get to be good at it. I can't recall anybody going that extreme, though you see players get better.
What's the next one here?
What is this from our McIntyre? What is the Mavs closing 5 now that Porzingis is ejected?
I'm gonna go with probably Kid Gilchrist. Who are some of their other some of their other deep bench guys, because it won't be close. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, so my instinct is Luka, Curry, Hardaway, Kleba, MKG. Or Boban?
Yeah, maybe. Well, no, what you're forgetting Finney Smith.
Oh, yeah, Finney Smith. Okay, so yeah, so I'd just go Kleba at center then.
Yeah, Kleba at center, Finney Smith. I mean, maybe Kid Gilchrist. They're going to try and see what happens with him. And I do. It does seem like Rick Carlisle is definitely very worried about not having enough size against George and Leonard. But it's probably got to come from within that group. I mean, it'll probably either be between Curry and Kid Gilchrist, of all people.
I think so too. Let's see. I have to check 3 different feeds for questions. Okay. Well, so that's an interesting point. I think we'll talk about Sunpod. Somebody's talking about the weakest ejection of all time. It is and it isn't. So it is weak in that both of those things were among the weakest things that are technicals. However, both, I believe, were kind of technically called. So I think you could argue that it is the weakest, quote-unquote, proper ejection that you could basically have.
And that is a technical. Now, many who criticize the NBA's current refereeing, players like these guys are robots now. They get reviewed and everything. They just follow the letter of the law every time. You know, an Earl Straub would have never ejected him, right? A famous referee, Hall of Famer from back in the 70s and 80s. He would have never ejected him because he wouldn't want to disturb the spectacle. And I don't mind imbuing the referees with that level on something as dumb as a technical foul. But also Kristaps Porzingis, by the law that everyone knows, deserved to get ejected. And his first technical was the same thing. Like, you get told that millions of times.
And we've seen it 3 times in the last 3 days.
Yeah, I'm guessing he was probably watching the playing game when Grayson Allen got a technical for that same thing. Doncic, they try to run a quick little flare screen for Hardaway, but they switch onto that. Now it's Luka again, turns the corner. Goes at Zubac. Can he get the space? He cannot. Finney Smith has to create something late, not especially Luka loads up from way out. They got the late switch, and finally they recognized that Zubac was on Doncic. Zubac had helped out on Finney Smith where he probably didn't need to, and that leaves Doncic for the 3. 1-point Dallas lead. Going right back to Marcus Morris against Seth Curry with his size advantage. Morris gets off the ball, Instead, it's Kawhi against Luka. Luka doing a pretty good job here on Kawhi. I know Kawhi made that, but that's not just getting barbecued.
Yeah, it was a difficult shot, one that Kawhi could make though.
Yeah, and the demise of Porzingis means that Kleba has to play center, and now Doncic has to move down a position and guard someone better. Kawhi pulling up after his recent make, missed it, knew he missed it, and the huge hands of the claw with the rebound, and then he loses it. Very rare you'll see Kawhi Leonard get stripped, but Seth Curry got him, and the baseline referee says it's off Kawhi. Screen away for Kleba. Now Doncic switched onto by Leonard. They want to force him to his left hand. He'll take the left hand. Way short, though. Not even close.
Yeah, and whether the Clippers start conceding, I mean, I think we've already seen a little bit with Zubats in on those actions, just conceding those Luka pull-up three-pointers. I mean, that's going to be a big definitive question in this current iteration of the Mavs. Luka is now, he's 2 of 5 from 3 and 5 of 8 on twos.
Backdoor Leonard switched onto beautifully by Kleba, but George is open for 3. Yes, over Hardaway. Yeah, and Hardaway got taken up by the back cut of Lou Williams, leaving George open. Little Spain action here for Hardaway stepping out. He can't get that. Clippers looking to take control here as the Mavs perhaps deflated by the loss of Porzingis. Nice job by Kleba cutting off George. That'll be a 4th on Paul George. Man, Maxi Kleba has really good feet. That is a good charge. He took it right in the chest.
Yep, totally the correct call.
I mean, that
in guarding position.
That quick step absolutely to his right was just absolutely fantastic. Let's see now. Zubac has been really big defensively. Dallas only 7 points in the period. And perhaps Doncic can get going to the basket with Zubac out of the game. They try to get Hardaway going here. They've run a number of these sets, but Hardaway hasn't been able to get it with the initial pick and roll and then the screener going to screen for Hardaway. Kawhi gets Kleba in the mix. A little bit off. Rebounded by Curry. Clips are back, though. Now Doncic off the Finney-Smith screen. Has him on the roll. Kleba closed down by Kawhi. They get the blender going. There's a 3 from Curry. And the Mavs certainly have gone cold here. They've had a number of open shots as Doc Rivers is going to get an immediate timeout.
So we could use this to get to some of your questions.
Yeah, I couldn't see what Rivers was upset about there, but that was that's interesting.
Is it possible to lessen the delay? Not really. So the challenge for people with the socially distanced time for Nate and I is that we have to sync up with each other too. And so that means it's not as easy as just bumping up or down the thing. We have to square it up and do all that. We actually started that before the broadcast. So it would be theoretically possible, but also exceedingly difficult to make that happen.
Yeah, and we'll try and lower it next time. I think we didn't realize when we started how delayed we were this time. But there's also a lot of people who are streaming. The other problem is, like, there's much more of an actual delay from the game to begin with now because I think that with no crowd, they're more worried about delaying it because of people swearing on the court and having to bleep it out, which is, man, could we just pay for not bleeping it out and hearing everything they say? Can we pay for that? I would love to do that.
How should the NBA approach next season, assuming the COVID situation doesn't get appreciably better? What do you think of the idea of regional bubble pods? I think Nate and I both support it. The funny thing, I think it was on the Patreon we were talking about this, and your idea of this was the same idea that I had and not shared with you, of the idea of having like 2 or 3 bubbles at once, and then basically you end up taking a break and swapping the teams out. I think that is a potential way to do it. I think another part of this is probably delaying the start of next season, so you open the door for potentially getting some of that revenue. But I think that until there is a way to have things safe, it will involve bubbles because that's the only thing that's worked.
Let's tell our listeners and viewers about Bookies.com, Danny.
Absolutely. So you and I, like the way we like to think about what we do is we try to give you information, insight through everything we do, and you and I are not particularly good at turning that into wagering, let's call it. And that is what bookies.com, that's why they're such a natural partner for this. You can go to bookies.com/NBA, and whether it's insight like from their experts or just, hey, from us, you think this team is better than that team, finding out where the best place for the line is, where you can legally place your bets, you can do all of that at bookies.com/NBA.
Yeah, and that over under that they gave us at halftime, that 250, looking like that's probably going to go under right now. Although the Mavs can explode at any time. It's harder to do that without Porzingis, but the Mavs really struggling to score here. Outscored 16-7 so far in the period. And even the Clippers only 16 points in about 9 minutes here.
Yeah, and you brought up that Adam Thompson, one of their experts, is on fire. He is at 70.4% on the season. 10-2 in his last 13. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, so one thing that really is a shame is that first call that got that reaction from Porzingis was, and I'm sure Steve Javie's explaining this right now, of like, no, that's an air punch. You have to call that. But that was a bad call. It definitely was. I thought. I mean, you said it maybe technically was correct. A lot of technicals and technically correct here, I guess. All right, let's get back to action. Boban is in at center. Kawhi pulling up easily over Hardaway. That's a matchup that has him licking his chops. I don't think you want to go to it too much because Luka has to save it for offense, as Morris is going to try and pressure him up here. But I actually think Luka can do a better job on Kawhi than Hardaway Jr. can. Doncic coming off some screens. Finney-Smith sets it. Big loop play here. No advantage gained whatsoever. Now Boban will set the screen. Doncic trying to get Morris on his back. He maneuvers in. Doncic has Boban underneath, and Morris, what a defensive possession from him. He finally tracks back onto Doncic. Here's Lou Williams in transition. Missing it. That one could have been a little bit of a dagger for the Mavs. Hardaway has Boban rolling to the basket. Floats. A little short. Now the Clips again. To me, every time the Clips get a rebound, they should be pushing it, trying to beat Boban down the floor. And what are we going to get here? A reach in. Looks like Luka got, or no, I'm sorry. Yeah, it was Luka who got the arm of Kawhi Leonard. And Luka can't believe it. He was very close to an air punch of his own that time, and he stopped himself.
Well, and Luka now has 4 personal fouls himself.
It's unraveling for the Mavs here in this quarter. Their spectacular three-point shooting in the first half, perhaps wasted, and Rick Carlisle will get a quick timeout while I get some tea. Oh, is he challenging this? Maybe he's challenging this. The light is not on yet, though.
It is now.
Oh, baby.
It's a green light special. Should Dallas leverage more small pick and roll now without Porzingis, particularly when Lou Will is on the court? Yeah, I think they should. They should when Lou Williams is on the floor. In some of the other times, they're not maybe creating as much of an advantage, and also Dallas doesn't. I mean, the Clippers don't have to be as freaked out about like rushing the switch or something. You could do a couple of different approaches there, like kind of what we actually saw Marcus Morris and Harold do on that last one, where they're kind of tagging each other and staying in the mix there, and not really doing some of the panic stuff because Luka, you dare him to shoot the pull-up. If you're the Mavs, do you look to find some sort of secondary shot creation or more wing defense in the offseason? I think you look for it where you can. However, the challenge is Dallas has this really big opportunity in the summer of 2021. Like they could potentially have max space. And yeah, they're probably not going to be in the mix for Kawhi. Maybe for Giannis, I've floated that as a very interesting idea, depending on what Giannis values. But there are a lot of talented players. And so do you want to give that up? And one idea, I'm working on my Mavericks offseason preview for The Athletic, is positing the idea that what more teams, including Dallas, should do is be aggressive and spend the money now and then figure that if you need to, you can clear it later. This is actually something Miami's done, a few other teams. I think there's some merit to that approach.
Guess
And
that
we're back.
challenge didn't take long. So Kawhi going at Doncic. Now gets the switch. Tried to draw the foul and couldn't. Now he tries to get the pass to Harrell, and Doncic intercepted. Doncic is a capable help defender. Out top, Doncic eschews the mid-ranger into the lane around Harrell, and they're going so much easier for Doncic at the rim when Harrell is involved rather than Zubats.
Great point.
Boban laying off of Harrell. Lou Williams going to his less preferred right hand, but another dumb reach in by the Mavs on Lou Williams. Hardaway, no, that was actually Boban, as Hardaway couldn't get through the screen.
His arm was just so far away you thought it was somebody else. But yeah, that was a terrible reach. And imagine, like, I'm so excited to see how things like the Euro step evolve with players that grow up with it, because we haven't seen this. Is just people adapting it from their current game. Eventually, it's going to be people like who are Giannis sized who have done it since they were 10 years old. It's gonna be crazy.
Lou with the three-point play, and the Clippers inexorably, it seems, pulling away, particularly with Doncic going to have to sit. Trey Burke is in. He had a great run in the first half. They want to try and get Hardaway going. Kawhi gets through that easily. Hardaway into the lane. Sets up Finney Smith. Passes a little high. Good close from Green. Green with the interception, but he's going to say he got him on the hip. Finney Smith with an unconvincing appeal that he was shooting that one.
Yeah, he wasn't. But A for effort, or at least a solid B+.
Luka guarded by Reggie Jackson. I would just get out of his way and let him just go at Reggie Jackson in an ISO here. Stepping back, foul. 3-shot foul.
And you have to have some sympathy for, I guess you'd say sympathy for Doc Rivers, that I'm guessing when Reggie Jackson became a free agent, and maybe even before he became a free agent, that the Clippers said, hey, we need somebody like you. We give you minutes. But Reggie Jackson doesn't really have much of a place on the best version of the Clippers to be, especially if Lou Williams doesn't make sense in closing lineups. I think that Reggie Jackson probably isn't a part of their best 48-minute times 5 position rotation, but they probably made some promises, so they're going to want to keep playing him. So maybe they can appease him by more minutes in these early series, and then in the Western Conference Finals, if they make it, and so on, maybe less Reggie then.
Yeah, also worth noting that George is on the bench right now with 4 fouls,
Yes.
so that removes that option to some degree. But it does seem like Doc Rivers is really going to have to paw around to find a theory of some of these lineups off the bench. And I don't think that Reggie Jackson and Lou Williams together defensively is it.
Well, especially imagine if they play some of that stuff against some of the other teams that have better guard rotations.
Good job by Finney Smith denying on Kawhi. Missed three-pointer by Lou Williams. That's a 0-pass possession. Doncic, Harrell getting higher out on the floor. Swings it out, Finney Smith, and you see the lack of playmaking from anyone else to take advantage. Doncic just wants to get the ball back, but Harrell is denying him. Doncic pointing into the post to Boban. Did they not call that? JaMychal Green looked like he ran into him.
Blatant foul. Yeah.
Yeah, he just went right through his body. How is that not a foul? Williams into the post, Harrell against Curry. And that's a lack of recognition from Boban right there. He's standing right there. It takes him a second to process. And when you see Curry against Harrell that deep, you got to get down there and double team it. There's yet another foul from Reggie Jackson and free throws for Doncic coming.
A no chance reach that becomes 2 free throws for
Luka.
Luka.
Guess what? You're not going to take the ball away from Luka Doncic. His handle is too good. And Doc Rivers saying something to Reggie Jackson doing the not looking at him. Doc Rivers, come on, man. And we could see Reggie Jackson's time reduced, but the Clippers are in decent position to win this game.
But I mean, a lot of it for the Clippers. I mean, we have these expectations of them moving forward, and these decisions aren't going anywhere for Doc Rivers, and there will be higher stakes at some point. And I mean, the Clippers have shown some viability in this game overall. I mean, I think they're not going to come out on top in this one specifically, but they're looking more dangerous.
Doncic has shot well from the line and completes that pair. It actually seems to me like the Clippers should be up by a little more, having held Dallas to such a miserable 13-point quarter right now. Kawhi just couldn't handle the pass. Doncic reacts, but Harrell recovers. Still plenty of time on the clock. Harrell wants to go at Boban. Boban backing up. Harrell's floater over him. No good. We saw Harrell use that floater quite a bit against Milwaukee when the Clippers had a number of players out earlier this year. Doncic waiting to try the 2-for-1. He'll go here with about 40. Gets Leonard on his back. Leonard does a good job competing over the screen. Burke, his three, as the pass was a little bit off, missed it. Leonard will saunter into the front court. Takes the three, way short. Gets his own rebound. Second time he's done that. He sets it up. Harrell says to come back out here, Kawhi. And they've still now only got 4 to shoot. Harrell has to go at Boban, missing the layup. Harrell, not quite the same level of explosion we've seen, and Doncic has the last shot of the quarter coming.
Yeah, and the 14-second reset, they didn't get anything off of that.
Doncic confident against Jackson. Good help comes from Green. Curry is run into and taken away by Leonard, but Leonard not close on that one. That was a big play because Seth Curry had Kleba wide open in the corner, and Leonard took it away from him instead.
So that was a 21-13 third quarter, marred, of course, by the Kristaps Porzingis ejection off the double technical. 87-82 overall in favor of the Clippers. Leading scorer in the game is Luka Doncic, 30 points on 8 of 24 from the field, 12 of 13 from the line. Also has 7 assists and 10 turnovers, so he might get a triple or even a quad double, but probably not the quad because of rebounds. And leading scorer for the Clips, Kawhi with 19 points in 30 minutes.
Let's check in on the shot chart here. The Clippers only 10 of 20 at the rim, but their mid-rangers have been falling. They are a solid 15 of 26 on twos outside the restricted area. In fact, a better percentage than they've shot in the restricted area. Three-point shooting has slowed down in terms of their volume, but 8 of 20 on above the break threes have really powered them. What does the Dallas shot chart look like?
So Dallas, they only have 9 credited shots at the rim. That was something I talked about at halftime. But remember, they've also taken 21 free throws, which is almost twice as many as the Clippers, and a lot of that was on inside actions. But then also the Mavericks, only 14 shots from 2 that were not in the restricted area. They've made 8 of those 14, and then they've taken 31 threes, made 13 of those, which is still a very good percentage, though not as molten as they were at the halftime mark. So yeah, and that's been a part of the struggles they've had. Though I mean, some of them were more contested looks than we saw in the first half.
Let's hit some questions here.
How come the 2 technicals isn't a foul out? Why do they get ejected off the bench? I think that's just because the idea is that technical fouls are kind of like more in the unsportsmanlike vein, and so it is an ejection, is you were being kicked out of the game rather than you being removed for fouls. I think because a foul out isn't considered an ejection. I think that's the difference.
Yeah, I think there's also just the issue that when you've fouled out, there's not like some concern about like an altercation or something, whereas with a technical it can be.
That's true.
And also, it's got to be consistent between coaches and players. Having the coach be able to still sit on the bench after a second technical wouldn't make much sense. So
that's a great point. I hadn't thought of that.
If you're going to eject somebody, you got to eject them completely from the premises. Also, it's just a harsher penalty. You probably shouldn't get ejected very often.
Glenn Simonson talking about the similarities between Luka and Harden's games. Yeah, I think there are. Harden is more adept to me as a free throw drawer. He's an innovator, honestly, in that space. And while there are times that makes the game less enjoyable to watch, it is still a definite skill. Also, I think Harden's 3-point game is more developed. But in terms of those guys kind of similar size, the way they're unbelievable passers in terms of vision in the passing toolbox. I think a lot of that stuff is there, and we'll see what Luka's defensive capabilities are long term. But I mean, there's an argument to be made that he was the most valuable offensive player in the entire league this year at the age of 20, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, and Luka, I think he's actually been fine defensively in this game. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, totally.
They haven't.
I
Yeah.
think the Clippers being more strong than fast, I think plays into Luka's hands pretty well. Like they don't really have those shifty guys. Like Kawhi, that's not what he does. He's more of a get to your spot, muscle through it, rather than the other approach.
Yeah, and he's does enough as a help defender. So we'll see how much they target him here. And also, he's got to be getting worn down at some point. He's going to start on the bench here. Curry off the screen. He got past George, but airballed it. George was in the play enough to rush his shot. The question for Doc Rivers will be when to bring back Leonard. Is he going to extend him to 40 minutes tonight or bring him back in 2 minutes here? Here's George. Similar action to what he just defended against Curry, but he can't make it either. Here's Burke going at Jackson. A series of rotations about the lane, but he can't get that either. Neither team has had the touch in the second half. Jackson forced towards the baseline by Curry, leaving it for Harrell. Harrell can't get the finish. Again, Harrell looking a little bit less athletic than we expect from him as he tries to play his way back into shape. Burke breaks the ankles of Shamet, tries to finish. Boban is there, and he's got the and one against JaMychal Green. Harrell did well to force the initial miss, but nobody was able to get inside position on Boban, and Green tried to wrap him up but wasn't strong enough.
And I think we might see it later in the series, but the Clippers, I don't think they've done enough to challenge Boban, especially in this game where they get there. Now you can make him defend in space, make him read and react, and send those aggressive doubles. It kind of seems like it feel like it was a surprise he's been on the floor.
Kleba tips it out. Curry's three. Man, the Mavs, as hot as they were in that first half, just can't hit anything from three in this second. Jackson out to JaMychal Green, wants to get Shamet involved. He's been quiet. They'll just switch this. Shamet not really a threat off the dribble. George going at Kleba, cut off beautifully again. That time he gets by him on the second move. George twisting his way. And once more, Boban, I mean, he's pretty much right there, but he's just so immobile that even one step is almost too much for him. As there's a nice drive from Hardaway. They're going to need him to get going in this second half. And Dallas winning these bench minutes once again. Lou Williams is out. It's Reggie Jackson at the controls. They're trying to run more through Paul George. Hardaway gets over the screen, sends Kleba away. Shamet sets another screen. Shamet pick and pop. That's deep. Misses it, though. That's the shot that Landry Shamet's going to have to hit if you have to remain in Doc Rivers' rotation. Boban holds that thing like a potato. Here's the three from Hardaway, who's heating up now with two in a row.
Yeah, 5 points in this fourth quarter already for Tim Hardaway.
Yeah, and Paul George thought that Shamet was going to switch with him onto Hardaway. He did not, and that left him wide open. And here's a blocking foul on Hardaway, who, once again, very chivalrously admits the foul.
And I don't think he's in any foul trouble, so I think that might be part of it. The funniest are when guys do that and they didn't commit the foul because the star is getting the call. But I still do love it.
Yeah, you can see on that replay, Paul George looking back at Shamet like, what are you doing, man? Like, that's a small man setting the screen. Switch it. George going at Boban, leaving it for Harrell.
That was gorgeous.
Hey, Danny, you might want to pause like another second. You're ahead of me. Here's a three from Hardaway, a little short. Oh, and Beverly just lost it. Beverly, of course, on 5 fouls, and he snorts at the ground. Sorry, I'll do better with my description next time. Burke Draws the help from Jackson. Here's a floater from Seth Curry. Seth Curry, a wild floater, but that Curry name can take you pretty far. Here's Jackson going at Boban. Stop from behind. It was Trey Burke that time. Burke, not known for his defense, and I think it was Kevin Pelton who was saying that Trey Burke should basically just be in Dallas the rest of his career. He's the new JJ Barea for these guys. Now George off the pick and roll. Help comes from Curry at the nail, but not enough. And George really seems to have Boban timed out here. Boban struggling to protect the basket as the Clippers back to a 2-point advantage. Now it's Hardaway, has Beverly on his back. Beverly competing to get over. 3 from Hardaway, and he's missed 2 in a row now. Wanted the foul. Here's George. Burke looking a little tired now. 3 from Beverly with no one guarding him, and he did not exactly make them pay. So here's Kawhi back. He'll finish this out at about 38 minutes if he goes the duration. Luka returning as well, and he also will be right in that 38-39 minute range. He got that unexpected rest in the first, remember, with 5 turnovers in the first 4 minutes, and that really settled him down. If I were Doc Rivers, I would be going back to Zubats pretty quickly here, I think. Hardaway, getting a little thirsty now. He made those 2 in a row, and now he's missed his last 3 on some difficult attempts. Beverly almost got a foul there, engaged with Curry. Curry hounding George, who will just take the jump shot and hit it over Hardaway, who never re-engaged after Curry started going for the steal. And Carlisle will take the timeout. He wants it on the right side of the floor with a 4-point deficit facing the Mavericks.
Okay, we can get some of your questions. Thoughts on the Hayward injury? Seems serious. It didn't look good when I saw it. I haven't gotten a great look at a clean, like, high resolution on it, but it definitely concerned me at the beginning. And always, you can see calibrations from the people in the building, and so yeah, I am definitely concerned.
So, particularly the fact that they had an MRI scheduled already, that he's in a walking boot, that they ruled him out immediately. Now, was it his left ankle that he hurt?
This time, I believe it was.
No, I think this one was his right ankle. But was it his left ankle that he hurt in that injury? Looking that up right now. I should remember this. Yes. The tasteful Gordon Hayward, horrific injury 2017, must watch is the first YouTube result. I think it was, in fact, his right ankle that he hurt then. So that's not good. He's got like a plate in there. You remember he had to have the second surgery because he had some irritation.
Oliver's saying it's the other leg, so I'm gonna.
Oh, is it? All right. Well, then I'm wrong. I didn't want to click on the video.
Yeah, I absolutely not. Oh, that's a good one. Which game are we most excited for tomorrow? So the slate: Magic Bucks, Heat Pacers, Thunder Rockets, and Blazers Lakers. For me, it's Rockets Thunder. I think that's the one I'm most excited for. It will be very different without Russell Westbrook available, but I just kind of want to figure those two teams out and figure out how that series is going to look. And I don't have that much uncertainty with the others.
Yes, and it was, in fact, Hayward's left tibia. My bad. I was just like really trying to avoid having to click on the video. And then I just scrolled down and just read it instead.
It happens. Did Morris get teed up when Porzingis did? Yeah, I believe that. I believe it was a double technical situation. Why does Reggie Jackson play over Shamner Magruder? I think I got into that. I think it's the idea of promises that were made and promises that are going to be kept, and also Reggie Jackson. I mean, he has been an accomplished player in his career, and I think if he were as good as he used to be, he would actually have a place in this Clippers rotation, but he just isn't that guy right now.
Yeah, if he was as good as he was in 2015-16, yeah, he probably would. But he's not been that player since. And he did play better initially after being signed, but in the bubble, he has not played to rave reviews. And I would like to see more of Magruder. I think he could potentially help them. It was Magruder who hit that key three against the Blazers before Dame missed the 2 free throws. Yeah, I wonder why Thunder Rockets is at 3:30, maybe just for the European audience. Getting a look at some of what Paul George has done here. And I guess we'll get an idea of what Carlisle is thinking. I don't imagine we're going to see Boban at this point. And yeah, so it's going to be Kleber at center. Luka switched onto by Kawhi. Now Morris onto him. Has to float a pass up. Luka trying to drive. He doesn't have that mid-range pull-up. Instead, he's got Curry for the 3. And that's an overhelp there. It looked like it was Beverly maybe, but he was stuck between 2 guys. So just a great pass from Luka more accurately. Little 45 pick and roll, old Doc Rivers staple. Leonard going right at Kleber for the bucket. That high double screen for Kawhi, getting him going downhill. Luka against JaMychal Green. Into the lane. Reverses, and they're going to get a foul here. So this is what we're going to be seeing down the end. This is, I think, the group that Doc Rivers thinks is his best. We'll see how long Patrick Beverly can actually stay on the floor, but they've got plenty going here at all 5 positions to switch. JaMychal Green at center. They're going to space the floor as well. That should open up the driving lanes for Leonard and George in particular. Is this what you'd be doing as Doc, or would you be going back to Zubac at some point, who played well in the third?
I would be going back to Zubac. I thought that it really affected Doncic's pull-up. It affected his driving game, and I don't think there are as many ways to take advantage of him now with Porzingis out. I think you shift strategies. Maybe that's not what Doc would have done originally, but this isn't that situation anymore.
Yeah, I agree. I think if it were Porzingis at center, you might feel differently, but Kleber has seemed a reluctant shooter. He's had a couple of bad misses. I think you're okay with Zubac guarding him, and Zubac really did a nice job protecting the rim against Luka. Let's see how it plays out, though, if they stick with these switching groups. Leonard turning the corner on Kleber. Kleber cuts him off. Great quick feet, but to no avail, and that's twice in a row. Leonard has scored at the rim on Kleber, and Kleber, he's got to just stop Leonard there. There's not much help. Here's Doncic on the drive. Pass Beverly. Easy layup. And that's the downside, Danny, of this group for the Clippers. We saw it against the Lakers in the opener in the bubble. Not enough rim protection. Now Morris trying to involve Curry in pick and roll. Leonard kicks it out to him. Doncic with the rotation. Good X out by the Mavs. George on the drive. And his pass is deflected. Nice defensive possession. And we'll see 5 on the shot clock for LA to work with.
And Seth Curry is a very nice anticipator, kind of figuring out where the action was going to go, and just, didn't get the steal, but got a hand on there.
Yeah, there's that beautiful move by Doncic. What he did there, that's a great technique. He just cupped it with one hand. He never brought it over to his left hand of the ball. That prevented the strip by Beverly on that play. Here's Morris. Deep 3. Has to jack it up. Rebound Mavs. Luka. A chance to give Dallas the lead. They remain in it. Improbably. Trying to go at Lou Williams. It's just come out. Oh, I don't like Lou Williams in this game right now, Danny. We'll see what happens. Here's Doncic stepping back on George. Not a great shot, but Burke sneaking in on the offensive glass. Kleber is closed down nicely by Beverly. Finney-Smith. His 3 over Morris is short. Now it's Morris. They wanted to travel, didn't get it. Leonard attacking Luka with the pass fake underneath Beverly. The Chicago point guard finish in the lane, Danny, by Patrick Beverly.
And a nice job sealing position there by Patrick Beverly. Got the spot and made himself available for Kawhi.
Yeah, that pass fake. So now they're trying to get Lou Williams out of this switch and pick and roll, and they throw it right to Burke, who attacks him, but good rim protection there from the Clippers. George pulling up over Luka. A little short. Oh, there's Beverly again. Chicago point guard offensive rebound. George closed down though. They got to get everyone in. We haven't seen Kawhi yet. He looked to take a little bit of a spill, and Doc Rivers, I think he's going to get a timeout here, unless this is a travel or something.
Well, the Clippers also still do have, so that they have 4 before that timeout, and they're going to lose another one in about a minute and a half. So I could see, you might not necessarily want to burn all of them, especially if you think your guys are more rested. But yeah, I think that we'll have to see if something happened with Kawhi there.
That's a good timeout. Check out Kawhi. They didn't have anything going with 7 on the clock. You can set up your ATO afterwards. A little bit on the stat sheet here. We don't talk about as much because we're just giving you these. And Ben, why don't we take down those tweets too at this point so they're not ahead of us. But the big thing killing the Mavs right now, 21% of their possessions they've turned the ball over.
Yeah, that's a great point. Do you see the lack of arena noise being a more significant factor than home court advantage in the playoffs on coaching, reffing, and momentum? I mean, it's huge. I mean, we've already. My theory is that we've already seen the lack of noise affecting refereeing a bunch, so that could be there, and it could be in terms of shooting and stuff as well. I'm very interested in when we get larger sample in terms of some of the stuff like there's this old adage about role players playing better in home games. I'm wondering how those sorts of things end up coming out in the wash. I'm very interested. Oh, and that's a good one. From I'm the Smartest. How would Dwight Powell fit in this series if he were available?
He'd probably start, and they start him and Porzingis. I'm not sure how it would work with him defensively. I think Powell, in theory, makes them better offensively, and he might give them more of an option than Kleba against Zubac, to where Zubac couldn't just kind of lay back. He would have to be more worried about Powell getting behind him on those quick rolls to the basket for alley-oops that Luka likes to throw. So I do think that they're missing him a little bit. Cauley Stein never worked out, but he did give them that element. Not having that alley-oop finisher, I don't know if that's the way they'd want to go at the end of games, but it is a different element, and he probably would start. The Mavs are very high on Powell. I don't think that he's good enough defensively, personally. I like Kleba better there. And you would have trouble with who's Powell going to guard in the starting group, because he really is not capable of guarding out in the perimeter as a switch defender.
A comment about is it possible that Luka can be the best player in this series? I'd say it's possible. I mean, he was a top tier MVP candidate for a lot of this year, but I wouldn't expect it. I mean, Kawhi Leonard is an absolute monster, and Paul George has been great today too.
Yeah, we got a question. Is Lou Williams bad on defense? Yeah, he really struggles there. He's very thin, and so you're going to see them attack him a lot. In an isolation, he's just so thin, he really doesn't have any kind of a chance. He doesn't have a defensive mentality. And so if he's out there, they're going to go at him, and you're going to see a lot of gyrations here down the end to avoid getting him switched. What they'll do is they'll pre-switch some of this, where they'll just leave someone up at the top of the key to take Lou Williams' man when he goes up and sets the screen, and just leave him down towards the baseline. And the way they tried to attack that is by just throwing it to Trey Burke, who just attacked him off the dribble immediately on the last possession, but Burke just couldn't finish the layup. So we have not seen any of Kid Gilchrist after that initial run. Looks like we are sticking with the same group for the Clippers. Kawhi's off, and Patrick Beverley again, a second offensive rebound for him. Now Kawhi against Kleba one-on-one. Shot clock is low. Gets into the lane. Great defense, better shot.
Yeah, that was just that. I mean, I thought Kleba did a wonderful job there, getting Kawhi and the shot clock, getting to pick up his dribble, but just made it anyway.
I mean, that high release from Kawhi, he's just that good, Danny. Like you can't defend him any better than that. Here's Doncic with Beverly helping. Kleba needs this three, can't get it. They're down 5. That could have been a huge shot.
I thought there might be a violation there, but they got it across with about 2 seconds to spare.
Now Kawhi against Kleba again. He's feeling it. Stepping back. Three-pointer. A little short. Now they throw it ahead, and that's a terrible pass for Luka's 11th turnover. and Kawhi with a great save in the corner.
And I've been talking about this a lot the last couple of broadcasts, but throwing that long pass when there wasn't really that much of a chance for like a real advantage situation makes it even worse. Like the Clippers had 3 guys back there. It wouldn't have been like an easy dunk or anything.
Lou Williams committing the intentional foul for some reason. I don't know why he did that. Like, it wasn't a fast break.
I don't think they're replaying this a bunch of times. I think that bounced inbounds.
Oh yeah, he saved it for sure.
Yeah.
So Dallas, it's going to have to be the 3-point shooting. They have gotten little at the rim in this game. Lou Williams, watch him. He's guarding Trey Burke. They're still going to try and involve him in the action. Burke looks like he stepped on someone's foot. Now Doncic. They'll switch Morris onto him. Doncic, nice hesitation. Leaving it for the beautiful cut of Hardaway.
And that was actually, you could call that a piece of charity for the Clippers to call a timeout there when Trey Burke was clearly hurt.
Yeah, and forgive me, I believe that was Finney Smith. 10 and 11 were a little bit difficult to see with the camera zoomed out, but great cut by Finney Smith right in front of his man for the layup. And Doncic, he's so shifty, Danny. Like, he like fakes the step back, then he fakes the step back again, like a double hesitation dribble with his left hand. Like and John Hollinger has noted this, how much better he's gotten at going to his left hand this season.
Yes.
He's not going to finish with his left hand, but he can go left at least now. So go ahead. Sorry.
Somebody in the comments called Lou Williams the worst defensive player in the league. I don't know that I would go that far, especially because, I mean, I would say bigger players are more destructive defensively.
Well,
than
here's
Lou
the
Williams.
thing. Like, I think it's also he's on a good team with a good scheme around him, right? If he were in Trey,
that's true.
If he's in Trey Young's position in Atlanta, he's just as bad as Trey Young. Although I do echo your point that if he's not a big, it's harder for him to be bad. But I mean, if you want to, he's maybe. How about this, Danny? He's not the most damaging defensive player in the league, but he's the worst defensive player in the league.
It might be.
Let's see what happened here to Burke as he comes through. Yeah, the left ankle, he stepped on the heel of his own man, Kleba. Hopefully he's okay because he's played well tonight. They're going to need him. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to continue. I realize he only has 2 points, but he's brought some stability. He hasn't been taking advantage too badly defensively. Curry is in for him. Kawhi being guarded by the Mavs center now. Kleba, they try to get George going. He'll attack. Good help from Luka, but that leaves Beverly wide open all day for the corner 3. Beverly much more comfortable in the corner, staking the Clippers to a 6-point advantage.
The Chicago point guard corner 3-pointer?
Chicago point guards are not known for their corner 3-pointers, I'm afraid. Luka against Beverly, trying to draw the foul, and Beverly just has to let him go. Again, the lack of rim protection there. Lou Williams tells Kawhi to go into the corner. Now he gives it to him. Kleba trying to prevent the pass, and Lou Williams looked away. Now Lou's going to go at Curry. Where's the help going to come from? Nowhere. But he missed the layup. Dallas a chance to cut it to a 1-possession game. Hardaway crossing over. Beverly with the steal. No foul either way. Lou Williams on the right baseline attacks. Blew the layup himself. 2 missed layups. He tried to
sell a foul there.
3-on-2. Curry, deep pull-up. Oh, Beverly, great job knowing that he was going to pull up there on the 3-on-2. Got to contest.
God, the Clippers have gotten some huge rebounds, and Dallas has missed them. This could be even closer.
Yeah, and now Luka is so busy complaining, he just lets Marcus Morris get a wide-open 3. What's he doing? He just jogged back to the elbow. He's walking around. There's 2 minutes left in the game. Now they involve Lou Williams in the screen again. Doesn't work. They got to go at him. Luka against Kawhi. Nice job timing him out. That's what I think Luka could be effective, is getting right to the charge circle with the lack of help from the Clippers. But the Mavs can't stop the Clippers right now. I mean, this should be even worse of a game. The Clippers are just missing layups. Lou Williams wants Luka Doncic, who looks exhausted. Crossover. Goodbye. Foul.
And there was a little bit of a push off there by Luka with his left arm, but he didn't fully extend it. They're just not calling that regularly. But yeah, he looks so gassed.
Yeah, I mean, it was fatigue that led to that mental mistake of just walking back, complaining to the referees. And 38 points and 9 assists, but the 11 turnovers, 5 coming in the first 4 minutes of the game. And that foul, I think the Lou Williams has been a success here for Rivers. Yes, Lou missed a couple layups, but he was getting good shots. He got fouled that time, and the Mavs haven't been able to get anything with him switching on to somebody. Luka now guarded by George, switched onto by Morris. Luka feels it against Morris. Drives into the lane, has to hook it up. Good defense. Yeah, Luka is out of gas here. But Curry keeps it alive somehow. He snuck in front as the Clippers saved it dangerously under their own rim. Not out yet, but Dallas has to pitch a perfect game. Kawhi in and out dribble. They want to kick it out and burn some clock here. George gets the screen from Lou Williams, missed him on the roll. No advantage gained. Over Finney-Smith for 3, and this game is over.
Yeah, I mean, an 8-point lead with 43 seconds to go. Paul George now at 27 points on 23 shooting possessions, 4 of 11 from 3. And it's funny how it happens sometimes with Paul George, where he's not like consistently dominant, but he did have a very good game overall.
Yeah, the 10 of 22 from the field. And the one thing that the Mavs did a great job of in this game is keeping the Clippers off the foul line. I thought the Mavs, I mean, particularly considering what happened with Porzingis, defended well enough to win. What's your take on just how things played out I mean, it was really the last 6 minutes of the game that the Clippers went with no traditional center on the floor.
I thought that the Clippers. So there were a few times, especially in the early going, where I thought they got lucky, where I thought that they could have given up more than they did, and also the Clippers got some kind of bouncy offensive rebounds, not really the type where it was size based like the one Zubats got earlier in the game. But later on, I thought that they were able to. Once the Mavs kind of got tired, their defense got less crisp, and they did a really good job taking advantage of that. And being smaller was better there.
Yeah, I want to see how it looks against a different team. I want to see how it looks when it's Kristaps Porzingis out there. I don't know that that would change the strategy, but it would give a little bit more space for the Mavs as Carlisle is going to go for his 8-point play here out of the timeout. See what he draws up. Luka starts it in the backcourt. Comes off the Kleba screen. Tries to draw the foul, and he does, in fact, draw the foul. This will be 2 shots, I believe. Looks like he's inside the lane. Yeah, he stepped his left foot on the line before shooting it. Are they not even going to give him the free throws at all? Yeah, that's the right call. They were not in the bonus. Luka again, switched onto by Jackson, who's in for some reason, and he lays it in. I guess they put him in. No, Beverly's still in there with the 5 fouls. I don't know why they went to Jackson on that one.
Free throw shooters, maybe?
And Doc Rivers will get a timeout. A good job by Dallas denying the inbounds play.
Yeah, and it's also good. I'm such a firm supporter of teams trying to do the inbound before you call timeout, because if you get something, then you're fine.
Yeah, I guess
save timeout.
I guess maybe Reggie was in for Lou Williams in an offense-defense situation.
An offense and slightly better defense. Good Lord.
Yeah. Yeah, wouldn't have been my first choice, but it's not going to matter.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about OKC Reggie Jackson, maybe you can use him as a defensive sub, but not this iteration of him.
So if you look at Luka's stat line, 40 points, 12 of 20 from the field, 14 of 15 from the line. That's really good shooting for him from the foul line where he can be a little shaky. So that's basically 40 points on 27 shooting possessions. That's good enough to win, but it's the 11 turnovers that kill him. And then at 21 total turnovers, the Clippers can definitely get a lot of turnovers with their pressure. You think the Mavs win this if Porzingis doesn't get ejected?
I think that I feel like the Clippers might have played a little bit. They might have put in a little bit more push, but then I think that would have been a pretty decent shot. I mean, this game made me feel better about the Mavericks in this series, even though they're going to lose it.
Yeah, so Luka with 40 points, the broadcast letting us know that's the most ever in NBA playoff debut. I think Derrick Rose might have held that record previously in that 2009 series against the Celtics. Beverly is fouled. He'll get a couple of free throws. Patrick Beverly, I thought, was outstanding in the fourth quarter of this one. Those two big offensive rebounds, the corner three, played excellent defense, didn't foul out. He is a very important part of what the Clippers are doing. He's really the fifth guy, but he's still tough enough to do some switching. He'll rebound. He's a good help defender. Like, he really, in a lot of ways, is what makes this centerless unit go for the Clippers.
Yeah, and I think there were some moments earlier he looked off in terms of a shot and everything, but I think it came together for an overall pretty good performance. And he only ended up with 20 minutes.
Yeah, considering he's coming back from the calf injury, although he misses that free throw badly. Two, in fact. Still a two-possession game. You got to go for a three there, though. The two's not going to help you.
I mean, now you need to get a steal or hope that Patrick Beverly or somebody misses two more free throws.
Yeah, they're actually going to try to deny it in bounds here. Luka takes that away, but then they have to foul Kawhi in the backcourt.
I appreciate that Jovan Bua tweeted out Reggie Jackson was in for defense ? And this is like, yeah, that's completely nuts.
How do you think Kawhi played tonight?
I thought he did very well overall. I mean, you think about the three-pointer just ended up not falling for him. I think that toned down the efficiency, but I thought he did a pretty solid job defensively, not dominant. So like this was more in the lines of like a good regular season Kawhi game, not like what we saw at the best moments of the playoffs last year, but they also didn't necessarily need that to win.
Yeah, I thought he was solid defensively in that switching system. He looks better compared to last year's playoffs in terms of his mobility. And I mean, he's plus 18, continuing where he's been the whole time. He's plus 18 points per 100 possessions in the bubble coming in.
When I thought his playmaking was good tonight too.
Yeah, 6 assists for him. Doncic. George takes away the step back. They try to set up Kleba's three on the move. That's way off. And hopefully we will be spared another foul here. They're trying to pressure up. Kawhi gets it across. No foul is called. They try to trap him, and finally Hardaway commits it with 8.3 left. Setting up for game 2. Porzingis will be back. I think you can expect Harold to maybe get some more minutes, play a little bit better with him getting his sea legs under him a little bit. I expect Luka to actually play better now that he's gotten his first playoff game under his belt. Any strategic changes you see?
I mean, I would hope that Doc would go away from the Jackson-Lou Williams combination in those second unit minutes. I think that was a real problem, especially in the first half. For Dallas, I mean, there will be necessary ones with Porzingis coming back in, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head that they like structurally really got wrong in this one. I think having Kleber start instead of Seth Curry, I think that was probably the right call. Though at some point, maybe you do the pivot and just say, yeah, we're going to be weaker defensively, but the way that they win this series is by making it a shootout. Like there's an argument there.
Yeah, I think that Kleber is a very good player, but by not starting him, you might be able to bring him off the bench at center and avoid having to play Boban at all, who I thought really didn't give him much in this one.
Yeah, I thought the best thing Boban did was get Montrezl Harrell a little bit out of sorts, but that wasn't really enough.
I want to see some zone from Rick Carlisle. They played zone on 5% of their possessions this year, according to Synergy. I want to see them barricade the rim, force them to beat him from outside. They did some things well, I thought, defensively in this game. Pretty amazing, though, looking at some of these three-point shooting totals in the end. Mavs are going to finish up 15 of 43, and Clippers 13 of 38. Both of them were basically 50% in the first half. Hardaway will miss the final three of the game, and it's a 1-0 lead for the LA Clippers. And that will do it for our coverage here. Thanks so much for joining us on the traditional NBA cast. We will be tweeting out a schedule. I don't think we're going to have a chance to do one tomorrow, but we're going to do at least a couple more this week. So stay tuned. We just got to get that all sorted out, and we'll tweet that out. If you're following, if you have that document bookmarked, that Google Doc that we tweeted out before, we'll tweet it out again, but you can bookmark that and check back, and we'll have the most updated information available for you there. Thanks so much for joining. Thanks so much to bookies.com for sponsoring us. Talk to y'all in just a little bit when we do Dunked On.